Whatever it takes. Alleyway.
Coco, this your season right now.
They won't see me. They won't let me yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid. Yeah. I won't let them yeah. They won't see me yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid. Yeah. I can't let them yeah. They won't see me yeah. I put attention, all of my blood, all of my veins. They started with Perky, now that hair by numb is veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they taught me the game. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid. Yeah. I won't let them yeah. They won't see me yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid. Yeah. I can't let them yeah. They won't see me yeah.
Lost, see, I glossed through, we shit ain't been the same. Heard the ops talking to the feds, giving names. Who gon' feed my family if they take me out the game? Keep one in the head and one eye open, that ain't change. I'm quick to catch a body. When I shoot, he shoot, I know bro shooting right beside me. Them hollow tips go through the wall and then they hit his body.
Niggas died at 65.
Yeah. Hey man, all I'm saying is, nigga, you always got something to say. It's like you don't shut up.
Blazing on the track.
A lot of niggas died 1865. Single Michael fled high, I ain't gon' let it ride. Everybody hot and black was never on your side. They too left to tell your apps where you sleep at night. They put that white man on. Got you begging them for answers like that white man know. Had you swearing you was African, that's that white man home. Had you proud to be a savage, that's that white man's zone. And I ain't talking shit, this by definition. And being savage was our nature, y'all be non-existent. We done took your ass out when we was in them kitchens. Instead of showing you how to live and how to maintain business. White supremacy fake. Only way that shit real is if you do what they say.
Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love.
Hey y'all, make sure y'all show some love to my nigga Helly Way. 24K in the chat. Make sure y'all show my brother some love.
I ain't showing no
Y'all been wanting to know where the music is. Go holler at me.
Homie called my phone, he told me, go hard with this rap shit. Lately I be going crazy, feeling like I'm bad shit. My men in the gutter, all these bitches want me crack shit. Niggas talking down on me, they don't want me had shit. Try to stay legitimate, I'm back on this trap shit. Try to run up in the crib, strike and made them backflip. Girls who call my phone, I know we hurtin', but he act tough. Bitches try to line him, we gon' find him, make him give it up. Bro told me I did enough, but really we ain't did enough. Tryna turn my city up, they tryna take my life from me. They tryna take my life from me. That's why I keep this pipe on me. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God, bro. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God, bro. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God roll. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God roll. I ain't showing no feelings, weak emotions is expression. That's the reason to kill him, on the side with the feelings. But I got angels with me, and some demons that's gon' blow him. But I pray again, see my life has been in motion. I'm a little windy, I'm not giving up yet. If you with me, time to place up your bet. Ain't no turning back, got niggas who ran. When we caught his ass, got caught in that jam. Yeah, you know who I am. Yeah, you know who I am. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. Yeah, you can feel it coming. Fake love, that's fake you in your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it.
So dope, my eyes low. When you move like God, the time slow. I came back for the blacks and John Doe's. Crack open them land patents, let go of them townhomes. What's a native to a native? Eat $5 dough if he not melanated. Pale faces got you waiting on a savior. Sending prayers up, he texting back on vacation. Yeah, God's children. Give all your praise to Jesus, but how God feeling? He say put no one before him in divine image. It's you with God and Christians. I got a vision, but niggas ain't gotta listen, so they don't. We came from the soil, wasn't fucking with no boats. Bible took our spirit, English plotted on our homes. Tribal families turned on us, don't act like y'all don't know. But fuck them and they grudges. We was something turned to nothing. And now we nothing's turned to somethings. Reincarnation of ancients, fresh up out the oven. This the message to the black man. 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 Shooters on my roof, lawyers in the coop. We can never die, bitch, we bulletproof. This the message to the.
We're still here. I still have my practices. We know who we are. This is who we are. So you can call me colored, you can call me Negro, you can call me black.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
you gotta be
What kind
kidding
of
me.
Indian are you?
Like Tonto Indian?
Shinnecock Indian.
Really? You're a Shinnecock?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know you were a Shinnecock.
Could have fooled me.
That's the kind I am.
Hey.
So you should be Big Chief Bastard, not Old Dirty.
His family was here when Columbus landed, huh?
Is that right?
Yes.
So you are not a black man, you're an Indian?
I'm an Indian.
No kidding. Now, this is a shock.
We are learning more to...
I don't need no gun to do my thing. Mao Zedong said that power grows out the barrel of a gun. He never said that power was a gun. That's why I don't need no gun to do my thing. What I need is some freedom. What I need is the power to determine my destiny.
Whatever it takes. The alleyway.
Coco, this your season right now.
They won't see me. They won't let me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, you been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, you been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I put attention, all of my blood, all of my veins. They started with perky, now that hair right numb his veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they taught me the game. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stir. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid. Yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stir. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid. Yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah.
Lost, see, I glossed too. We shit ain't been the same. Heard the ops talking to the.
Yo, peace and motherfucking blessings, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. It's your brother Aboriginal Power, man. Peace and love to all the American Aborigines, man. I want to say peace and love to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat that's not able to comment. You know what I mean? Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all know the fucking vibes. It's your brother Big Aboriginal Power. Hey, man. Grand rising to all the American Aborigines, man. Hopefully y'all enjoying yourself. I know I got another fire one lined up. Peace and blessings to everybody in the chat that ain't able to comment. So I do want to say peace and blessings. Make sure y'all be safe, be aware, stay vigilant, stay dangerous on your daily commute. I'm also going to take the time out to shout out some of the brothers and sisters that took their time out to comment in the chat. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm going to do, man. Y'all already know the vibes. It's the Wake and Bake Show. Let me know what y'all smoking on, what city and what state y'all in. All right, listen. Let me got my boy Jaguar Clout. We got Khalil Finch. We got Dre Cobb's music. Shout out to the legend Aboriginal TV, man. Shout out to my God. Shout out to Mr. Brandon Rogers. You know what I'm saying? Sweet 19. Hellyway in the building. Man, go follow my nigga Hellyway, man. Hellyway, I might have to get you up here to talk about this up and coming video that y'all just shot, man. I was supposed to be in there. Y'all know I would have been in that thing, man. Shout out to my nigga. I was in South Carolina when they shot the video. Shout out to my boy. Shout out to Libra Son, Sagittarius Jones, Truth Master Dre. Shout out to Jamel Thompson, Snake God. Snake God. How you like that snake love? Snake God, snake love. Y'all already know how we coming with the Quetzalcoatl vibes. Y'all already know. Shout out to A Dots, V Dots. A Dots, V Dots in the building. Shout out to the church lady. Shout out to church lady. Shout out to Son of California. Shout out to Boss Player and Jones. Shout out to Empress Freedom Feather. Shout out to Autonomous Goddess, Khalil Finch. Shout out to UNI1, Pop Reed. Make sure y'all show some love to Pop Reed in the chat, aka Wilmore Reed. Make sure y'all show some love. I mean, my mama. Shout out to Brendan. Shout out to Bronze Flat Power, Divine Ward. Shout out to Chief Crazy Overstanding, DGZP, Wilmore Reed. Again, who else we got in here? James Williams, Susan Thompson, American Aborigine, Original. Shout out to you, sister. Good to see you in the chat. Who else we got in here? We got Quavo Black. What up, Quavo? That's the brother I seen at the Wawa the other day. He walked up to me like, yo, I'm subscribed to your channel. Shout out to my boy Quavo Black. We got Khalil in the building. We got Manguza in the building. We got Just Us, Tenkara, and Tanzi V, and King Ye in the building, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. What y'all know the vibes, man. D Malik, what's up? OG Green Machine, Cameron Sloan, what up? That's what's up. Lady Spade, Tyron, Berkham Live, Juan Torres, Phyllis Brown, El Bora, what's going on? Shy Alpha, what's going on? Imani, I hope I pronounced your name right. Cameron, what's up with it? The beautiful Gretchen Helms, Grizzly 901, what's up with it? Haruda Duke of Great Lakes, what's up with it? Sister Bethy, what's up with it? Y'all know the fucking vibes, man. Come, Keith Lamont, what up with it? J-Rock, you on the vanilla cookies and the runts? That's what's up. Chief Kokomo, top of the morning to my cuz, Mr. Aboriginal Smith, man. Top of the morning, cuz. Who else we got in here? Willie, what up, Willie? What you got going on, nigga? Redskin, what up? T1 Production, what's up? TNAC King, what up, though? All right, we lit. We lit. Libra Son, what up, though? It's a fucking movie in here, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. Y'all know the vibes. Yeah, bro, we supposed to be there. Yeah, I'm in the next video, bro. Just let me know I'm in the next video. Shout out to my nigga Big Chief, fuck you crackers. Shout out to Daz Hosen and shout out to GG Grays, man. What's going on with it? Peace and blessings, man. Y'all know the fucking vibes. Hey, this that about that time where y'all let me know what city and what state y'all in and what y'all smoking on. Y'all know what I'm smoking on. We smoking on asteroids. If you're not smoking asteroids, go smoke asteroids. That's Asteroids Co. on Instagram. If you want to go shop with some Aboriginals, get some of this good herb, you know what I mean, smoke the best, go to the description box. link in the description box to the DM. Go DM him. Go DM Asteroid Code using promotion code Aborigine. You will get the Aboriginal discount. So if you want to smoke the best in the world, man, Asteroids, the best Aboriginal herb in the planet, man. Go smoke good if you want to smoke, man. Link in the description. Use promotion code Aborigine. Hey, if you have not purchased the pay-per-view, the American Gods pay-per-view, link is in the description as well. Make sure y'all go purchase that pay-per-view. It went crazy. You know what I mean? Exclusive in the building. You know what I mean? Exclusive in the building. Nigga, on my mama, nigga. If you ain't caught that pay-per-view, go check it out. Go check it out, man. Y'all slacking if you ain't caught that pay-per-view. Let me say shout out to my boy Craig. Shout out to my boy Craig Lloyd. Forget that. Forget that pay-per-view. It's fire. Yeah, he said get that. He said get that pay-per-view is fire. That's what my boy Craig said. He just sent in the cash out donation. Shout out to my boy Craig for sending in the cash out donation. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. We got some shit we gonna get into. You know what I'm saying? We about to get into some shit, man. I don't know how y'all feeling this Grand Rising, but we got some shit we gonna get into. Y'all seen the bill yesterday. Now, in fact, let me send the link to my brother A1 because I know he gonna come through today. Let me send the link to my big brother. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Y'all know the vibes, man. Hey, what y'all smoking on? Hit the like button, thumb up the video. This is the latest YouTube channel in the motherfucking world, man. We don't sugarcoat shit, man. Y'all know we keep the shit 1,000, man. We do this shit for the ancestors, man. My mama. So don't confuse it with none of the rest of you weirdos. We just here for our people. If you're a proud American Aborigine, you feel what I'm saying? If you wake up and be like, damn, it feel good to be Aborigine, drop a motherfucking emoji in the chat. If you wake up and be like, damn, it feel good to be an Aborigine, drop them fire emojis in the chat, man. Y'all tripping. Shout out to the real ones in the chat, man. Peace and love. If y'all can hear and see me loud and clear, drop a fire emoji in the chat. Drop a fire emoji in the chat. That lets me know that y'all can hear me loud and clear. My bad. I'm just trying to send this link out to A1. My bad, y'all. You know, we're going to get back cracking like we did yesterday. Shout out to everybody in the building. Somebody just sent in a cash out donation too. Let me shout them out. Let me shout out the people that support the channel. Gotta shout them out, man. Shout out to my boy Keith Brawley, man, aka 10AC King. He said it feels good to be Aborigine. He sent the cash out donation. He said it feels good to be Aborigine. Shout out to my boy AC King, man. Shout out to my boy AC King, man. Appreciate the donation, man. You damn right. It's a beautiful time to be an Aborigine, nigga. It feel good as hell. Can't nobody tell you nothing about you because you know about you. And the shit is, you figured out the shit about yourself and your lineage that they didn't want you to know. So y'all some of the smartest motherfuckers in the world because y'all done did the impossible. Y'all resurrecting the real, who y'all really is. That shit's amazing. It's like they had you in amazing. You made it through, and now that shit is amazing. Bars, nigga. Bars. Fucking bars. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Y'all ready to get to it? Yes or no, bro? Y'all ready to get to it? Y'all ready to get to it? If y'all will, drop them fire emoji. I see them flooded out, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. I ain't even gonna hold y'all up any longer, man. Before I even get in, y'all got any questions? Hey, Helly hit the link. Helly hit the link right quick. I want to holler at you right quick. Hey, hit the link right quick. Hit the link that's in the chat. Follow the steps. Hit that link, man. I got to holler at you right quick. Shout out to Elijah D. Shout out to Elijah D. I haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you around. Shout out to Elijah D. It said all day, heat, top rope, elbow, drop that motherfucker like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know I'm coming off the top rope like the Hardy Boys. I thought we were gonna do a swan time dive on y'all ass, nigga. I'm coming off the top rope with it. You know, my mama, nigga. With the information, I'm coming off like Rey Mysterio, front flip, elbow. You know what I'm saying? With the info on my mama. Hey, Helly, hit that link, man. The link in the chat, man. Hit that link. I just want to ask you a quick question. You can get back in the chat, man. I just want to ask you a couple questions. I was supposed to be on here. Everybody wondering where can they get the music at? Everybody, and I tell people all the time, you can't even find this music. They just dropped One Eye Open, which is the intro to the live stream. Y'all been hearing it for the last few months, man. Make sure y'all support that, run it up, man. And listen, the video is fire. I ain't even gonna lie. I was supposed to be in the video too. I was supposed to be in the videos out of town, man. I'm definitely gonna make that next one. So Street Dreams, I'm gonna be in Street Dreams. And they ain't even heard that yet, man. But that might be one of my next intros that I might put together for y'all. We might have to get on a new wave, man. Shout out to everybody, man. This is the Wake and Bake Show. Miss Jelly, what's up? Tansy V, what's up with it? Hey, you know, this topic is one that was in the atmosphere. It was in the ethers. So I picked it up, and now we about to, you know what I mean? We about to come with it. We about to come with it. You see what I'm saying? We about to come with it. Keith Oliver, what's up with it? I mean, Keith Tolliver, what's going on? Shout out to my boy Robert. Robert sent in the Cash App donation, man. Shout out to my boy Robert. Robert said, enjoying my first day off with y'all. Man, that's what's up, bro. You came to kick it with me on your first day off. Cut her. Hit the wood. Hit that motherfucker wood. It's your Friday. You off of work. You ain't, I mean, it's Sunday. You ain't got nothing else to do. Hit this wood, my brother. Come get this information. We about to turn up, man. Just sit still. We not going nowhere. Shout out to my boy Earl Willer in the chat, man. Earl, what up with it? What's going on from the live? Yeah, this is the part 2 from the live yesterday. Y'all know what's going on. We put it in the atmosphere. We put it in the atmosphere. You see what I'm saying? We put it in the atmosphere. It's coming down. It's raining down on us. Earl, Mr. Earl Willer, I ain't seen you in a minute, fam. Hope everything's good with you. Good to see you in the chat, family. You understand me? And I'm on the Banana Runs vape. You know what I mean? The bitch be strong with that oil in it. Hey, man, go holler at your boy Hefe, man. Asteroid.co. If you want to smoke the best, whatever it is, vapes, edibles, herbs, rub-ins, oils, tinctures, CBD, whatever. Go holler at my boy Asteroid.co, man. Link is in the description box to check him out. Link is in the description box. Shout out to everybody in the fucking building. Shout out to Libra Son. Shout out to my boy Libra Son for supporting the $2 challenge. Shout out to my boy Libra Son. Shout out to my boy Libra Son in the building. Make sure y'all support the channel. So y'all ready? Y'all ready? All right, man. We about to get into it. Can I get the chat flooded out with fire emojis right quick? Hey, somebody said, I'm ready. If you ready, I'm ready too, man. We about to get it cracking. I'm just, you know what I mean? I was waiting on my brother A1 to come back in this mother sucker, but I guess he'll be back in a second. He'll be back in a second. We ain't tripping. Shout out to my brother A1. He'll be back in this bitch in a minute. Peace and blessings, though, y'all. Who we got? GG Gray, Dre Cobbs. Everybody ready? All right, let's make it work, man. Let's make it work. Let me send this last link out. Let me send this last link. Send this last link out. Boom, we good to go. Hey, man, we lit in here, man. Y'all already know the fucking vibes, man. It's your brother, Big Al, man. Big Al. Check your IG. I got you. I'm gonna check it here in a minute, bro. Just give me just a second. We got ACER in this motherfucker. Realize with 3 R's. What's up with it? James Williams, what's up? Let me give one more shout out to whoever just sent in this donation. Shout out to Dre Cobbs Music supporting the $2 challenge. Shout out to Dre Cobbs Music sending in the cash out donation, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Let me let my brother Helly weigh on her. Let me set up the right. Let me set up the right name for him. Boom. Okay, he was just in here. We'll let him back on in a minute. Hey, Chris Cyphers TSL, what's going on? I'm a magazine. What's going on? I'm on my magazine, some shit like that. Shout out to my boy Earl Willer, man. Make sure y'all show some love to my boy Earl Willer in the chat, man. Shout out to Earl Willer in the chat for the Cash App donation, man. We appreciate all the love and the support. Shout out to Earl Willer, man. Let me see what he said in here. We got to read the comments. Earl Willer said, for moving from New York to GA, it all is well. Man, New York to GA, that's a good travel. It's a hell of a, be safe, bro. And I know you happy. That rent looking a lot cheaper. You ain't about to pay $1,800 for a 1-bedroom in the A. You gonna get your money's worth. Shout out to my nigga Earl Willer. All is well. I'll see you when I hit the A, hopefully, brother. Shout out to the beautiful Empress Gretchen Helms. Once again, shout out to the beautiful Empress Gretchen Helms, man, for sending the Cash App donation. He says, I got a surprise for your 10K subs. Okay. We had 11K though. You understand me? We working on 20. Hey, shout out to beautiful Gretchen Helms. She said she got a surprise for y'all. She said she got a surprise for y'all. So make sure y'all tune in with that. We got somebody else sending in the Cash App donation. Somebody supporting the channel with the $2 Cash App donation.
Oh shit, I'm live right now.
Yeah, shout out to Jason Wilson, Harris. Shout out to Jason Harris for the Cash Out donation. We appreciate that, man. Say for good info. Shout out to Jason Harris. Make sure y'all show some love to Gretchen Helms, Jason Harris, goddamn Earl Willer, Andre Cobb's music, man. Libra son, Robert, Elijah.
I don't know what the fuck be going on with these apps,
man. Everybody that's supporting the motherfucking channel, man. We got my brother Hellyway on here. What's good, man? What's the vibe?
Like, AP was good, gang. Man, we missed you last week, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I was really trying to get to it, man. I had a big Aboriginal event. Shout out to Sister Bethy. I went down to South Carolina. We turned up, man. About 100 Aborigines showed up, man. It was dope, man. It was dope. But I definitely want to be in the video, bro. Listen, I heard y'all shooting through the grapevine, my favorite song of all times. Street,
yeah, bro. I knew you had work to do, so I won't even tripping, bro. We had a replacement for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen the whole video.
Oh, how he showed you?
I seen the whole thing, man. Cause I seen the snippet that y'all dropped the beginning of the end of last week, and I was at the car. And I was looking, I'm like, why the hell is they robbing? You see what I'm saying? I'm like, hold on, what's going on?
Yeah, because it's basically like, you know, the whole video showing like it's like a
alter ego, your inner ego or yourself.
The alter ego, yeah.
I seen it when I watched the full video yesterday. So I was like, this dope, man. I would definitely love to be in a part of it.
It's some shit niggas ain't really doing right now. You feel me? So I wanted to bring my creative side on top of the music, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like a lot of people ain't really doing that right now.
Nah, you definitely killing it with the music, man. We love the songs, man. Snake Love, One Eye Open, Introverted. I mean, we can keep going. You see what I'm saying?
Man, the whole Aboriginal community got me feeling like I need to drop Snake Love next.
Snake Love should be next, man. Y'all know that's one of the ones. Y'all know that's one of the ones. You see what I'm saying? Snake Love is fire. It's definitely one of the ones, man. That's one of the ones a lot of people like because we deal with that on a regular. We didn't deal with that in our past situations. You got people that come around you and they only come around just to snake you. You see what I'm saying? They smile in your face. They act like it's all love. They say, "What's up, love?" And it's really snake love. You see what I'm saying? They just heard of snake you in your face. You see what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody in the building.
Yeah, man. Thank everybody in the chat too. Y'all be showing hella love.
Next video, man. Maybe we get a gang of the Aborigines in the Philly, Jersey area to pop up. When the next video shoot, man? What's up with it?
Shit, man. Look, probably like 60 days from now. I ain't gonna count. So we're gonna run it up with one eye open for like the next month and a half. And I'm probably going, I was thinking, I don't know if y'all heard scriptures yet, but I was thinking about, putting some visuals to scriptures.
I ain't even heard that. You might have to send me that so we can give it to him on the sneak tip. You know what I mean?
Hey,
we play a little sneak tip on her.
Hey, it's pain. It's pain. It's pain. It's pain.
I done heard a gang of your shit though. I ain't gonna lie. Snaky,
You're a Black Knight.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Nah, facts though.
Snake is a representation of wisdom. That's true too.
That's facts.
We get into that science too. Shout out to Chick Harmony Roots, man. If you ain't shopping with Chick Harmony Roots, make sure y'all go DM her. If y'all want a custom-made, handmade, Aboriginal dream catcher with your spirit and energy attached to it, go DM my sister Chick Harmony Roots, man. Making the best in the building. But yeah, man, like I said, we really ready for you to do it. When the One Eye Open drop?
This Friday, the visuals coming up.
Yep. Y'all know we gonna play it. Y'all know we gonna be on it.
Yup.
If I
Hey,
play it
we
Friday,
gonna
I
run in the whole live, man. Let me know when you do it, so I'll tap in and all that.
yeah, I'm gonna play it as soon as you. Whenever if it drop Friday, I'll probably play it Saturday. You see what
Hey,
I'm
listen,
saying?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm tired as hell, bro. I've been in the studio all night. Like,
Man,
bro,
get
I
you
ain't even
some.
been asleep since yesterday, fool.
Oh, you
I'm
haven't?
still up. I'm grinding right now.
And get your ass some rest, man. I know you up and grinding and shit, man. Get your motherfucking rest, bro. You know what I'm
Hell yeah, I'm
saying?
about to get the hell out of here. Yo, AP, I
Put up on
appreciate you
Hobby
for having me up
yesterday,
here.
so I put up on Hobby yesterday. That's how I seen the video. You know what I'm saying? I seen the whole video. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I said,
I didn't
yeah.
even know you was back around for. I thought you was still OT.
No, I'm back around, man. I'm back. That's why I said, when y'all next perform, y'all got another performance coming up or another video coming up? Which one is it?
August 21st.
August 21st.
Friends Lounge, Philadelphia.
August the 21st. That's
Mm-hmm.
what? How long is that? That's like a couple.
That's like I believe it's like
That's
next Sunday or
7
some shit like that.
days.
Yeah.
We got a week.
Mm-hmm.
Next Saturday, not this Saturday. Next Saturday.
Hey man, the promoter showing love, bro. We got a whole section. You know, come through, do whatever you could bring whatever you want, do whatever you want. You know, we got armed security for first line defense. You know what I'm saying? That's family business. They gonna be there. Everything gonna look real lovely. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Man, so anybody, all the Aborigines, if you in the Philly area, the Jersey area, the Delaware area, make sure y'all pull up, man. Drop the link in the address, the time, all that in the chat for the people. I'll post that and keep it pinned in the chat so people can be aware of that, man. I would love to see a gang of you Aboriginals out here, you know what I mean, at the performance. Y'all know half of the songs anyways. So, you know what I'm saying? Y'all already
God,
know.
man, pull up, show that love. Show that love.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a fact. Crip
much
Walk, what's up,
appreciated.
man? Hey, man, I appreciate you for coming on, Helliway. Get you some rest, man. I ain't want to hold you up too long. I just wanted you to come on and build on that, man. Shout out to my boy, Helliway. Y'all do look like cousins, at least. Y'all funny as hell. You funny as shit. Shout out to my boy, Jaguar in the building, man. I ain't about to play with this nigga Jag today. Seriously. In class, congratulations. Hey, Redskin, what's going on? We just now getting started, man. I ain't even going to hold y'all up, man. Y'all ready? If y'all ready, drop a fire emoji for me, please. Drop a fire emoji for me, please. We about to get it cracking. We about to get it cracking. Y'all ready? If y'all ready, drop them fire emojis, man. We ready to get it cracking right now, man. I want to see it flooded, man. Make sure y'all support the channel too, man. Support the channel. Hey, Gretchen Helms, I'm dying to know what you got for the 10K subs. I want to know. Shit, I'm subbed to my damn self. What we got going? What kind of treat we get? You know what I'm saying? Let's get right to it, man. I ain't gonna hold you up. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Picking up from yesterday.
Such meticulous planning and power is absurd. Extreme evil requires genius, which all peoples possess. We must break free of these chains and start asking questions on how we arrived to our current location. Okay, so now we're going to break down all the main things you hear about Charleston when you Google it or go on a tour or visit a museum. This will just be so that we can condense it all and then just consider it from an alternative viewpoint. No other town can truly be called a pirate town like Charleston in early colonial days, or at least that's what they tell us. One of the most well-known stories is Blackbeard the Pirate. And so you hear about this, right? It's this random guy out of nowhere comes with 4 massive ships, and this is around 720. And so he holds up the entire economy of Charleston and slows it to a standstill. They say that his name was Edward Thatch or Edward Teach, which, according to Wiki, there's really not that much known about his early life. He seems to be associated with royalty during this time because how do you get 4 ships when they first came to the Carolinas? These settlers had the investment of rich aristocrats, and they only came in 3 ships. Only one made it, but this pirate has 4 ships, and he also goes on to steal a bunch more, so this dude was balling. So yeah, some of these ships that he captured were these French slave ships. Then he named it Queen Anne's Revenge. Then somehow he has an army of 300.
So this dude just came out of nowhere. See, this is when it started getting freaky. This is how you know they be hiding and reconverting history. This is how you know they lied and reconverting history. Sister Gretchen Hams, I'm gonna have you come on and talk about those books that you got for the chat, man. I want you to come on and talk about it here. Maybe when I get done with this live stream, if you're still around, I appreciate that. Shout out to Gretchen Hams.
But this pirate has 4 ships, and he also goes on to steal a bunch more. So this dude was balling. So yeah, some of these ships that he captured were these French slave ships. Then he named it Queen Anne's Revenge. Then somehow he has an army of 300 men. But think about it, they never really explain why they called him Blackbeard. Of course, they just say that he had a really black beard, but just seems strange.
It seems strange because this nigga was probably a nigga. See, they be lying about history. They don't be wanting to tell you the truth. They be wanting to cap.
But think about it, they never really explain why they called him Blackbeard. Of course, they just say that he had a really black beard, but just seems strange. Anyways, he shows up and takes people hostage, such as Samuel Ragg and other councilmen. But not only that, he took 9 other ships, and so now he has like 400 men. So he basically has an army. And then think about it, what do we know about the Moors and Fomorians? They were pirates. So could this have been some operation funded by royalty? Either way, it gets weirder. So they say this Blackbeard guy came in and is like, I demand mercury and catheters because they wanted to shove this stuff up their bums and inside their genitals. I'm not even kidding. This was how they cured syphilis back then. They have multiple mercury stories like this, which is connected to a slave story, which we'll cover soon. I should also go ahead and mention Rainbow Row, which is the most classic, iconic thing in Charleston. We'll talk about it more later, but I just wanted to mention that when you look this up, they try to say that this was painted because the slaves used them as supply storage units and they were illiterate, so they wanted to keep track of where the supplies were, or that the sailors were so drunk that they used it to find their way home. I don't really know how to say this, but come to find out by the local tour guide that, no, they were all brothels, and Charleston had basically the most brothels in America, supposedly. And this isn't even the most insane part, it gets stranger. So, we get to this famous Stede Bonnet, or the Gentleman Pirate, which was basically this guy with a family, wife, and kids and everything. And then out of nowhere, randomly, he's like, you know what? I want to be a pirate. And he leaves his entire life behind, basically meets up with Blackbeard somehow, and then now they're working together, I guess. Anyways, after General Rhett and all these supposed pirate laws came in, the person who really took the blame for all of this was Stede Bonnet.
This game. Who the fuck is Stede Bonnet? We gotta find out who the fuck Stede Bonnet is now. Oh, stop offering me shit.
After General Rhett and all these supposed pirate laws came in, the person who really took the blame for all of this was Stede Bonnet. And this guy was just an idiot. He was a fake pirate who couldn't even lead his own crew, but they captured him and Blackbeard got away. So when they first captured him, they put 2 guards to watch him on house arrest, but literally they say that he escaped dressed as a woman and escaped to Sullivan's Island for a while, but then he was recaptured. So they take him in and basically embarrassed and humiliated him publicly, hanged him and let him sit there in the town without his wigs for like months. Or I guess this was just to spread a message to pirates everywhere not to mess with the South Carolinians, but I don't know. It just seems like some weird story if you ask me. They also want to say that the reason Charleston was a fortified city was because there were 150 Spaniards, American Indians, and quote, mulattoes. Or natives, right? That's what they say. Natives with one white and one black parent. Who's the black parent? Now, if we look into the origins of this word, we can see that it's not used to describe natives now.
No, it's not. It's used to describe mixed people or fully white people. See, this is when you get into the the cause of the Civil War. This is what we was laying down yesterday. That the term mulatto was a social construct that they was trying to asphyxiate towards a certain demographic of people. Okay, so watch the game. I haven't watched this video neither, by the way. I have not watched this video. We're watching it for the first time all together, unless you already watched this shit, you guys. But for me, this is my first time. This is real reaction. We're gonna break this shit down. Let's go.
But those people who are mixed of African and European ancestry. This is considered to be outdated and offensive in mainstream circles now, but it is a reference to the hybridization process with these bloodlines. Literally, it says, quote, some sources suggest that it may derive from the Portuguese word mula, from Latin mulus, meaning mule, the hybrid offspring of a horse and a donkey. The Real Academia Española traces its origin to mulo in the sense of hybridity, originally used to refer to any mixed race person, end quote. In English, printed usage of mulatto dates to at least the 16th century. The 1595 work Drake's Voyage first used the term in the context of intimate unions producing biracial children. The Oxford English Dictionary defined mulatto as, quote, one who is the offspring of a European and a black. The earliest usage regarded black and white as different species, with mulatto constituting a third separate species, end quote. Quote, according to Julio Izquierdo Labrado, the 19th century linguist Leopoldo Aguillas y Yanguas, as well as some Arabic sources, muwalad is the etymological origin of mulatto. These sources specified that mulatto would have been derived directly from muwalad, independently of the related word mulati, a term that was applied to Iberian Christians who had converted to Islam during the Moorish governance of Iberia in the Middle Ages. End quote. So, we have to be willing to invert the picture simply just to observe it, not to accept it as fact. But if these people really are inverting everything, we need to be willing to flip it and look at it from a different angle, especially when it comes to the mainstream narrative. So now we get to the American Revolution. Yeah, but they literally funded it all. The Dutch East India Company was already well established. You think a few hundred migrants to a colony started by the largest corporations in the world that somehow these migrants are just going to...
We know that the East Dutch Company had been around under different names. They called themselves the Phoenicians. They called themselves the Romans. They called themselves various different names. These are the people that's been rewriting the history, which I think they're being told to do this by these black nobilities, these black noble people that is the mix of these original, which is the part of the mixture of some of these original mulattoes. The original mulattoes that's known was from royal black bloodlines. You don't talk about those. They don't talk about those.
To revolt and conquer such a mighty beast? No, this is an excuse to remove breadcrumbs. You see, this happens in every country. Oh, they gained sovereignty. Right, but they're still owned by the church? Revolutionary War? Who are they fighting? Their northern counterparts? Their bloodline connected Dutch families? Or, that's right, they're fighting back home the British? What evidence do we have that this truly happened?
Yeah, they tell you that the East Dutch had beef with the British, but you never see them go to war. And they come into America roughly around the same time. You don't see a war between them, a conflict, but what you do see is a merging of the two. You see them merging. That's crazy, man. We got to really start paying attention when we start looking at this history and what they have lied to us about. We already caught them in a lie that they told us we all come from Africa. We didn't cancel that. We didn't. They understand now. Oh yeah, we are the indigenous people.
These journals
they lied
and
about
small
everything.
artifacts that they show in the museums that could easily be fabricated. Anyway, they tell us that the greatest defeat in American history was the Siege of Charleston by the British in 1780. They literally tell us that it was one of the colonies of the British, but okay. The British was finally defeated in the Battle of King's Mountain, which this is important to note for later. And if we look at all the colonial coat of arms when America was founded, are we really to assume that any of this really ended or is how they present it to be?
And that's another point we got to pay attention to. Man, shout out to everybody in the building, man. Shout out to U.S.A Divine for the $2 Cash App donation. Shout out to U.S.A Divine. I hope I pronounced your name right. Shout out to U.S.A.
It was one of the colonies of the British, but okay. The British was finally defeated in the Battle of King's Mountain, which this is important to note for later. And if we look at all the colonial coat of arms when America was founded, are we really to assume that any of this really ended or is how they present it to be? This gets us into the narrative of slavery because, with the Negro Act of 1740, the British supposedly made it so that slaves were legally made to be illiterate. So this isn't me saying this, that's what mainstream history says. So the slaves were illiterate, that's what they tell us, and that they are responsible for building all of Charleston. But did you know that most of Charleston, since its founding, consisted mostly of black inhabitants? That's what they tell us, that 2/3 of the population were black slaves, while the other portion were the land proprietors and wealthy white migrants. Even the Swiss immigrant Samuel Disley, 1731, said, quote, "Carolina looks more like a Negro country than like a country settled by white people," end quote. And this quote was actually in the historic South Carolina Museum.
Oh, let's run that quote back one more time. Let's run that quote.
Proprietors and wealthy white migrants. Even the Swiss immigrant Samuel Disley.
That's a hell of a quote right there. That's a hell of a quote. Look like it's more a Negro country than a country settled by whites. Duh. Nigga, this is Aboriginal land. There's niggas everywhere. Are you serious? Are y'all serious? Are y'all serious? Hey, man. Hey, Hefe, hit that link right quick. I need Hefe to hit that link. Hefe, hit that link, man. We got to talk about a few things. Shout out to everybody in the building.
1731 said, quote, "Carolina looks more like a Negro country than like a country settled by white people," end quote. Carolina looks. Samuel Disley, 1731, said, quote, "Carolina looks more like a Negro country than like a country settled by white people," end quote. And this quote was actually in the historic South Carolina Museum. So we're going to be questioning the narrative with keen minds, as there's no reason why we shouldn't. They're telling us that all of Charleston was built by slaves, in other words, black hands, yet they were illiterate, had no money, were also branded by whites and owned as property. Yet we're to believe that they had the passion and willingness to build all these structures for white families to shit in while the slaves took the chamber pots and would just dump them in the street or river. Yeah, that makes sense. You could say that they grew up mind-controlled, but even then, humans have their limits.
You said built these houses.
I find it hard.
You said built these houses for these people to shit in. What do you say?
Had no money, were also branded by whites and owned as property. Yet we're to believe that they had the passion and willingness to build all these structures for white families to shit in while the slaves took the chamber pots and would just dump them in the street or river.
Right, you think we built some shit for them to shit in? When them motherfuckers was dumping they doo-doo out the window, out their kitchen window, they would sometimes have feces all the way up to people's neck, man. Swimming in doo-doo, man. And then they come home, sit down, eat. Mind you, they didn't take baths, hardly wash their hands, and they act like why the fuck they got smallpox around their mouth and chicken pox and shingles and monkey pox and black plagues and shit like that going on. You're living in doo-doo. You can't do that in America. We start seeing these savage beasts and we just start making outhouses for these niggas. Like, we didn't use outhouses. We had plumbing. We built outhouses for their ass. At least use this little box with this little wooden seat, nigga. You know what I'm saying? White people love porta potties because that's what we taught them to use the bathroom in, and outhouses. So they just made them portable. A porta potty is an outhouse. They used to them. On my mama.
We're to believe that they had the passion and willingness to build all these structures for white families to shit in while the slaves took the chamber pots and would just dump them in the street or river. Yeah, that makes sense.
And mind you, white people are still disgusting just like that today. They are just like that today. These niggas are the worst. These niggas are the worst. They still filthy today. White women and white men might take a shower 2 times a week after work. They don't even really take showers. Still to this day, they scared than a motherfucker. Just washing what little bit of melanin they got. Their little cell skins is drying up. Yeah, these people filthy, man. They ain't like us. We fuck around, take a bath 2 times a day. They be looking at us like, what the fuck wrong with these Negroes? They're bathing in some type of chemical with foam coming out of it. Like, yeah, nigga, it's soap suds. Are you shocked? These niggas rinse off with the same water they wash their clothes in and brush their teeth. They use the same pot. Goddamn, these motherfuckers be nasty as hell.
Just took the chamber pots and would just dump them in the street or river. Yeah, that makes sense. You could say that they grew up mind-controlled, but even then, humans have their limits. I find it hard to believe that all of Charleston was built by slaves who were treated as cattle. You also had privies or necessary homes, which were small buildings constructed of the main house, similar to a latrine, but they were designed so that they could be cleaned by the slaves on a daily basis.
Let's take a look inside the Beard Club's advanced kit.
My boy going crazy with the commercials.
They also had slave the main house, similar to a latrine, but they were designed so that they could be cleaned by the slaves on a daily basis. They also had slave tags, which were literally numbered, and I would consider this branding of products. Yet they said these slaves were jolly and played all sorts of music and that they would intermarry with their slave owners, so they definitely didn't just own them. But wait, what about Southern hospitality? Because we'll come back to that, but I'm from the South and I'm telling you, like, sure, there's neo-Nazis and crazy people who exist, but the vast majority of people do not see race like that and do not care about it like that. Of course, I'm kind of talking pre-2020, and things are changing because Asheville, Columbia, and Charleston are all super liberal cities, which growing up, I never really knew that. I always saw South Carolina as a red state, and it definitely is, but I'm just saying, in the cities, they are extremely liberal, and you can tell if you just go into the stores and talk with the locals and historians. We will see this as we continue. And by the way, I have
to mind you, we told y'all that Albert Pike and a lot of the Cherokee and other loosely affiliates of the Iroquois created a secret society to help run the nation called the Knights of the Golden Circle. The Knights of the Golden Circle ended up branching off into other groups that they called the Ku Klux Klan, part of one of the Indian Iroquois clan. The Ku Klux Klan is actually a tribe and shit that was invented, a nation, a clan that was secretly invented by Aborigines, mixed breed mulattoes.
Problems with liberals or Republicans or anything polarized like that. I'm just trying to separate and view the entire subject from a third perspective, so please, let's avoid strawmans. Let's just say that Charleston is super petty. That's what the tour guide said. And also, they were on board with everything that's going on today. Can't really say much more than that. All I'm trying to say is I got questions, but we continue. So, yeah, after the country of South Carolina became a part of the United States, it was still owned by the British. Well, if we look at the coat of arms of the Continental Army and the coat of arms of South Carolina during this time, I think we can see that the snake is behind both of these movements. Now, supposedly, the British promised the African slaves freedom during this time so that they could all come running to help fight with the British or something, and they would be guaranteed freedom in exchange. So, the Continental Army was literally composed of British families such as Horatio Gates, weirdly, and General Henry Clinton was a British Army officer, which little is known about this guy, but he was also named the governor of Gibraltar with the coat of arms of a castle and key. He is claimed to have made a mistake, but somehow he had gained the trust of the Cherokee as well to fight with them, so seems that everyone was involved in this. But this has to do now with the loyalist and those who want to separate and create the new world of a castle and key. He is claimed to have made a mistake, but somehow he had gained the trust of the Cherokee as well to fight with them, so seems that everyone was involved in this. But this has to do now with the loyalist and those who want to separate and create the new world, right? Remember, we had to think about this differently now. Problem, reaction, solution. And so we can't be polarized when exploring history. The Charleston equivalent to the Tea Party happened in 1767 when a shipment of tea was dumped into the Cooper River. Some shipments were allowed to land, but they would just let it rot in the stores. They say over 200 battles were fought, yet I'm not sure why they're so convinced with such flimsy evidence. I mean, Benjamin Lincoln surrendering to Clinton, and yes, I do think names are important since they're literally just copy and pasting them everywhere. You don't think we should dissect them? So many people think of the South and they think of cotton, right? But South Carolina, and specifically Charleston, was made on rice and indigo dye. This indigo dye is also related to other dyes, such as the purple dyes that were extracted from snails, which is also connected to how they produced purple, which is a Royal Phoenician export. Quote, Low country wealth was intertwined with rice for generations. From the 1720s to the early 1860s, no other commodity was remotely as important to the region. Indigo, cotton, forest products, and manufacturing never came close to matching the riches that planters drew from their rice estates. End quote. Quote, with rough tools, slaves cleared immense wooded swamps. Then they constructed massive hydrological systems, dams, dikes, and floodgates called trunks, used to irrigate.
Shout out to Jaguar. We just broke this down saying that this same science goes back 3,000 years ago. We just broke this down. This was in American Guys pay-per-view. We showed y'all that the same people in these same areas invented and was masters of this irrigation. And they was not slaves. Do your genealogy. I want to know how many people you got slaves. How many out of 16 grandparents, how many were slaves? That's the question for today. How many were slaves?
Irrigate rice fields where they sowed and weeded the grain. End quote. I'm not trying to underestimate the power of humans, but again, we're dealing with passion, intellect, vast experience in agriculture. Yet, they say they were illiterate and basically treated as subhuman. You also have to think about what is this overarching narrative? They're basically saying that blacks were primitive for all their history until after the Civil War. Or at least, that is what we're presented with when it comes to the slave narrative where we're conveniently never told about the Royal Black Moorish Empire and their influence on Europe along with the Rosicrucian Order. Why are these things not really talked about? And why is it when you walk into one of these South Carolina museums, there's no mention of Black Royal Moorish ancestry? Sure, you can research them independently, but the point is, why is it when looking up the topic of slavery, specifically in America with the Civil War, it's as if they don't want to connect these two topics together for some reason? It's this whole idea that blacks were just natives of Africa who were then brought to America, right? But like we mentioned, they were sold off by the royal kings of Africa. Remember, Secret Black History on Africa video, there were castles that are no longer there in Africa, which at the time were perhaps Moorish in origin, like the Berbers of North Africa, who were also mixed with these royal bloodlines. No race is attached to slavery over any other race. Yet when you go to these museums, this is all they want to tell you. Like, they are definitely trying to program you with a specific perspective of reality. So one of these buildings is called the Fireproof Building that was built by Robert Mills, who we're going to cover soon, but this building is now the South Carolina Historical Museum. So anyways, I go in there and the whole place is like empty. No one goes to Charleston really to study history, except the people who are going to the college, and we'll talk about that shortly in the following chapters, but there was an exhibit in this museum that I want to talk about a little bit early because it ties in with all of this. So they're like super weird about it too. Like, they confront that Charleston has a shady history, but then they're like, oh, there's good and bad.
Like, we got to deal with it. Like, what is some of the things that we know about Charleston, South Carolina? We know that that's a slave town. We know it's a lot of dominantly blacks. And we know that they would look like they was in ruin. Look, this is a photo of Charleston in 1865. Look at these structured buildings, this ruin, just at ruin. And they was at ruin in 1865. You now have no remnants of these structures now today down there. You might have 2 or 3 in the city. I think it's one downtown Charleston, and I think it's one on the outskirts of Goose Creek that I remember. Shout out to my brother A1. You breaking glass and shit? What's going on?
In the early morning workout. Now, look, check this out, right? Now, you see how he's smart enough to make the connection, right? See, some of these Aborigines is so fixated on not wanting to be part of any more society or whatever, to where anybody in their right mind could see if they came here in South Carolina, they had to be connected to. They just ain't come here and do what they want to do. And if you motherfuckers think that shit, then you motherfuckers is crazy. Ain't nobody just come over here and just do what the fuck they want. Oh, let's go to America. Let's set up right here. And this is what a lot of people, they got people thinking. They got us thinking that, oh, the Moors came from Europe and they can set up shop in South Carolina. Get the fuck out of here, my dude. They had to be connected to the civilization, man. And I understand it, but for the people who don't understand it, then that's on them. But he pretty much, he explained to me, and he's saying to himself, why don't they tell you about the Moors? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Why? The stuff that they hiding, the stuff that they're not putting out there in history on a regular basis is the stuff that you should be concerned about. Why are they not teaching you about the Moors? Because once you find out that they was in Europe, then you're going to start Xing them out. Well, if they was in Europe, then where were the Europeans at? And did they have control? Oh, no, they was living next door to each other like you see now. Yeah, that's all bullshit, bro.
Bullshit. Yeah, that's bullshit. Integration of our people's never been. That's why it was a big thing to even start having white people live in our areas, period. That's integrated. This is a new process. This is something that only took place after 1865. So prior to 1865, we know we got majority melanated people dominantly in position and political power in the United States, or what we call North America. You see what I'm saying? So they're lying about the whole narrative. Shout out to my boy Wanagi in the building. Shout out to JCD and shout out to everybody else that's in the building. If y'all can hear me, do everything loud and clear, drop a fire emoji in the chat, man. We got my brother A1 in here, man. We're gonna continue breaking this shit down. You understand me? Shout out to everybody, man. Let's go.
And I'm sitting here looking at this exhibit, and I'm like, wait, what? They had slave tags. These white men supposedly owned over 20 slaves, if not hundreds in some cases. And all they have are these letters and journals and some newspaper articles talking about selling slaves and a Negro runaway named...
Right. They always got some bullshit ass article or one little weak ass journal. Shout out to Not a Coincidence. We tired of just seeing one weak ass journal. One weak ass document letter about a slave sold. But when we get into this shit, it never tells you the demographic of these slaves. It's not a black man. A black man was never described in America at that time. Who was the black man? Was it the person that's absent of color, which is what the definition of black meant? Someone who is pale, that's what the word black meant, or oblique, which means bleached of the skin. Who they're talking about?
Good and bad. And I'm sitting here looking at this exhibit, and I'm like, wait, what? They had slave tags. These white men supposedly owned over 20 slaves, if not hundreds in some cases. And all they have are these letters and journals and some newspaper articles talking about selling slaves and a Negro runaway named Mercury, which weirdly these publications were also called Mercury, so not sure what's up with that. But yeah, they just say that they were happy making music and dancing while all of this was going on. But then during this time around the founding of America, slaves would literally be sent to asylums in what was called the sugar house, where they would literally be tortured into obedience. This was also done to what we know as Native Americans, but they just don't really talk about that as much. I'll leave an article on the sugar house.
No, they don't talk about what happened to the Native Americans, and that's a fact. A lot of people, when we talk about slavery, a lot of the early indigenous peoples did get enslaved, or POW, was forced to work for low wages. You feel me? That's called sharecropping. Then you got later on classified as Negro under this act. Later on.
Yo, AP.
Yes.
I don't agree with that shit anymore. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't agree with the Native Americans. Understand this, bro. They trying to sell us the narrative that the Native Americans was in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina. And even though that we know that there is literature to support that these people was being enslaved, now we looking at the whole narrative.
Slave meaning historical time. I think they used to using it for a convert, someone who had to work for commercial. That's when they turned you from a peoples to a person. You know what I'm saying? You only use this for legal. You only here for legal reasons, and these legal reasons is the benefit and to adding to society.
But just remember this, AP. Listen, if we now looking at that, we're the people that they call Native Americans, right? That's the identity of the Atanchans, or if you want to say the Atlanteans or the Aborigines, right? So now, the people who would have been slaves, the people who they're saying that aren't slaves,
POW.
Yeah. But I don't even, because it wasn't white people weren't running nothing. So who was they imprisoning by? So they was imprisoned by.
Well, we can't say pale skins. We can't say pale skins if we know pale skins was getting shipped in by these large numbers. We can't say pale skins, but we went through a process that you call the POW. Like, we can prove that some of the people that caused, let's just say, the Trail of Tears, right, were 1% of 99% left. That means 99% of the people stayed and had to give up their tribal rule. Who was they giving up their tribal rule to? Was this a Negro? Was this a Negro? Or was this a white person? See, these are the questions we have to ask. it's the story, but it's like you said, it's inverted.
Yeah, yeah, but
When
I
you
don't.
go left, it's really you going right. You see what I'm saying? They got to invert it. It's like a tractor trailer when you backing it up. They got to invert it.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that at one point in time, I taught about Indian slavery, and I was wrong about all that shit because that's just a story that they're telling you. And if we got to look at it, if it was Indians enslaved, it's because it was the Europeans that mixed with some of these people who was put in slaves. But as long as we understand that the Aboriginals was running this shit, and the Aboriginals also had slaves, then now we got to change. Because remember, the Native Americans are the Negroes. The Negroes also are called slaves, but now we know that they're not slaves, and they were the slave owners, and they was the holders of this land for all of this time that they used from 1619 until 1865. So now we got to kind of start looking at these stories differently. These are just more stories to pretty much confuse us. The fact of the matter is, the Aboriginals, the AKA the Negroes, black and colors, are the Native Americans. They're not Africans. They was never enslaved. They owned slaves. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
this whole narrative is just to pretty much make the Europeans look like they were doing this when they, in all actuality, was the slaves. And like the brother just said, well, why are they not telling you about the Moors and everything? Because somebody going to ask the right question. Well, wait a minute. If they took over Europe for, even let's say, I don't believe they took over for 700. I believe that they was always there. Just the European way of trying to put himself there and without being questioned. But you still got to question the fact that the Moors came in and took over that land for 700 years. Then what does that mean? That means that most of the culture and most of anything that's coming out of that region is Moorish culture.
Right.
So I say that and mute my mic, bro.
Nah, you right. You right. Let's get to it, man. You breaking some shit down. That's why we need Big A1 on here to add this clarity. You feel what I'm saying? You squeezing it in. Drop them fire. Let's
making music and dancing while all of this was going on. But then during this time around the founding of America, slaves would literally be sent to asylums in what was called the sugar house, where they would literally be tortured into obedience. This was also done to what we know as Native Americans, but they just don't really talk about that as much. I'll leave an article on the sugar house, but it's pretty horrifying. The idea is that these were all mind control victims. And to be honest, this was happening to some degree. You have to understand there's always mix between truth and lies. There were definitely people being turned into slaves, but it wasn't literally just the black population who they say they imported by the millions through the Dutch and English East India companies. Or I should probably say West, but regardless, these huge shipping companies were sending these slaves over to America, right? So, of course, there's going to be a narrative that would in turn explain where these slaves came from for future generations and the millennia to come. Now, of course, that is coming from the assumption that perhaps there is something else going on with this entire narrative. Now, I want to bring up Dean Calloway and Karimio, who I believe to be the biggest channels discussing these topics. There are others for sure, but they have done a great job of compiling alternative Moorish history. The only difference I really have with them is they seem to label the enemy or parasites as a single race or
hold on. This nigga brought up Dane Calloway and Karimio. I just heard that correctly. Did I just hear that correctly? Nigga, hold on, man. A lot of these talking points came from the gods over here, man. Like, let's be real. They are some of the largest platforms. Shout out to Dane Calloway. You understand me? We don't really rock with Cuz the Mexican, because he be pushing the fake narrative.
that would in turn explain where these slaves came from for future generations and the millennia to come. Now, of course, that is coming from the assumption that perhaps there is something else going on with this entire narrative. Now, I want to bring up Dean Calloway and Karimio, who I believe to be the biggest channels discussing these topics. There are others for sure, but they have done a great job of compiling alternative Moorish history. The only difference I really have with them is they seem to label the enemy or parasites as a single race or phenotype, meaning the white man, when I label the enemy as more of a spiritual parasite and corruption that took over humanity as a whole. That doesn't take away, though, that there is some good information provided. So Karimio has a video on this too, so shout out to him. I actually found out about this video after the trip, but I've been watching him for a long time, so I definitely see this as a synchronicity. But he has this video on the Sephardic Jews, or these French Huguenots, who are really freed black slave masters or the real plantation owners of the South. Don't take my word for it, just look into it yourself. This was purposely omitted from history and the museums because they're set forth on presenting a narrative to the populace. So it seems.
Do mushrooms freak you out?
Man, them Huguenots are French people. These Huguenots was the slaves that came over here. The black royal people that was already enslaved them was already here. They never came from nowhere. That's what I'm trying to tell you. These niggas don't be knowing what the fuck they talking about. They need to stop listening to Corey Mayo. Don't listen to that Tontinus one where Corey Mayo got his information from. You want to really know something, Mondale? Go to Antontinus one. A1. Antontinus one. What are you talking about?
Hey, you know something, AP? Real quick. Listen, you gotta understand something, right? See, even when they talking about these motherfuckers got in their mind that this was a place where anybody could just come and do what they want to do. That's what people got in their mind. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And every time that you see different cultures over here that is not this Native American culture, we automatically just write it off and say that these are somebody or people from other places. No, they had to be our brothers and sisters too, because we just wasn't allowing nobody just to set up fucking shop anywhere where they wanted to. So get that out your mind, man. They ain't even no Sephardic Jews. That's some shit that somebody wrote down in the goddamn book and confusing people, you know? So
my bad.
Oh, you good? What? I don't believe none of these stories, man.
Nah, man, you can't.
Yeah,
challenge the narrative.
I was using it, but no, I'm going back.
Shout out to A1.
Was purposely omitted from history and the museums because they're set forth on presenting a narrative to the populace. So it seems.
This narrative is that black people.
So let's listen to the narrative real quick. You feel what I'm saying? This is when you get into and like I said, we don't gotta agree with everybody. We just listen to this for the meat, man. Eat the meat and spit out the bone. Shout out to Joshua Stewart, y'all. Make sure y'all show some love to my brother Joshua Stewart in the chat for sending in the Cash App donation, man. We appreciate the support. And shout out to the other brother who sent in the Cash App donation wanting to stay anonymous. Shout out to you as well. Shout out to the other brother that sent the Cash App donation wanting to stay anonymous. We appreciate all the American Aborigines, man. Me and A1 will continue to break down this video. Shout out to everybody, man. Make sure y'all support the channel, man. Cash App and PayPal information is at the bottom of the screen, man. It's very important for you guys to support the channel, man. Like I said, shout out to all y'all. If y'all have not purchased American Gods pay-per-view, link to the pay-per-view is in the description box. Make sure y'all support the channel, man. If y'all have not purchased American Gods pay-per-view, information is in the description. All right. Everything you need is in the description. Shout out to everybody in the building.
So it seems this narrative is that black peoples were never anything but slaves. And think about it. This works into the modern day politics, which I'm not even going to cover, but I'm sure most of you can make your own connections on how victimhood and identity crisis is still being used today to exploit and manipulate people into a cycle of hatred. They tell us that the blacks of today in America.
How many of y'all been saying we not slaves? just by a show of fire emojis in the chat. For the last, how long have we been saying this shit that we not slaves? We can't find this shit on our genealogy. We've been saying this, man, as a whole, as the community, we've been saying
Are
this.
the descendants of the Gula Geechee people a blend of African and European?
No, it's not a blend of African and European. Ab TV, you heard him talking about the Gullah Geechee like that? Ab TV, what you got to say about that, brother?
They tell us that the blacks today in America are the descendants of the Gula Geechee people, a blend of African and European. But the weird thing is that they have these famous figures that they present in the museum, and I never mentioned either that just like in the Biltmore video, you know how I was saying that I had this feeling that was kind of like a bad vibe where profit was involved and it just made me feel sick? Well, I swear I had the exact same sensation when I was in this museum, and it was weird because I was like here all alone. There was no one here in the museum, and I was just looking at these pictures and I was like, what are they even trying to say? It's kind of disgusting, honestly. These historians, right? And they're a bunch of young liberals that really have no idea, are not even trying to make connections like this, right? They're just regurgitating and have to go through a process of rote memorization, right? They have to take tests. And I guess this seems to be a common theme that we're going to see throughout this video. Like, they're literally saying that these Gullah people couldn't even speak English with this old proverb and it's all distorted. And again, I'm sure that part of this is true, but it's not a true representation of all Black people around the entire world, right? And who they are descended from. We have the right to question this narrative as we already brought up several good points on Moorish history. Why are these historians not bringing this up? These people literally went to college for almost 8 years. I'm not kidding you. And it's just mind numbing once you go there with open eyes. And I'm not trying to come off wrong, but what we're dealing with is a presentation and manipulation. Yet the people who work there and the locals, they just repeat the narrative. Talking about the historians, they're all like, yeah, that's weird. And they'll talk about all these things like the prohibition and how the porches are facing the side of the houses. It's almost as if everybody knows that something isn't really right about Charleston, yet it seems that 99% of the people are not really that curious about what is displayed before them, or at least it felt that way. For example, they were promoting this Priscilla Ball, who was kidnapped as a child, brought to Charleston as a slave from Sierra Leone, which, by the way, this is where they say most of the slaves came from, which is another Royal Lion outpost, which started when Black loyalists of, again, more bloodlines here settled it and started the Sierra Leone Company. These Black pioneers invaded Nova Scotia and began to expand there. Now, I find it interesting that when you're researching this for the Black loyalists, there are no pictures of these figures. For example, Thomas Peters. There isn't really anything shown, but he was the founding father of Sierra Leone. For some reason, this isn't on Wiki, but here it is at the museum. This guy was loyal to Britain, they say. He was a royal puppet, or he is a royal bloodline who had deep connections with other families. Now that we're aware of this pursuit to...
Oh, he's saying, I forget his name. Adayu. I forget his name. They say he was born in, he went to Africa, born in, but no, this nigga was the nigga that was born in, he was born in South Carolina. He was born in South Carolina and went to Sierra Leone to help establish.
They say he was a royal puppet.
Or he is a royal bloodline who had deep connections with other families. Now that we're aware of this pursuit to hide these Black loyalists, we can question other founders that have been painted white in history books, but could have very well been Black as well. I mean, we see Moors on several crests throughout Europe. There's no denying that they were involved with these royal bloodlines. You can even see them holding the rose, showing they are all part of this entire Rosicrucian Reformation, the divide and conquer tactic. This was all planned for by the royal elites. Oh, and there's even a crest with a Moorish queen and a bear. Reminds me of Calafia. There are many of these on early European heraldry.
It wasn't until the transatlantic
and a
a
bear.
bear.
Where is that one at? I'm looking for that one. I don't see that.
Oh, and there's even a crest with a Moorish queen.
A Moorish queen and a bear. Is this it? I don't see the bear though. I'm looking for the
Queen and a bear.
Bro,
Remind me
bro,
of
bro. You're,
I'm
you're,
here. I'm
you
here.
talking about Queen Calfia.
I know he said that's an emblem. He said it's a coat of orange seal in Europe with that. And I was just trying to see if he showed it. I was just trying to
You know how
precisely.
they show you in California, the Republic of something that got the bear on it.
Yeah, I know. That's the old golden bear. That's the golden bear of California. That's now they claim is extinct, but it's been words and whispers that it traveled down to Mexico. That it's in the high, what they call sky islands of Mexico and Peru. The golden bird might be still around, you know. So
Yeah, man. Oh yeah.
yeah,
And that's
listen,
what
he
he
going
going.
in a lot.
Yeah, but he going in. He don't pretty much understand it. He will need one of us to pretty much explain it. And Dane Calloway don't talk about no more or Cormeo. Cormeo dismissed the existence of Moors in America, and he also went on a crusade to basically slander their name and their history and noble Jewelry. So he don't even talk about none of this shit. He say the Safari Jews and all this other goofy shit. But keep it moving, man.
Let's go. Shout to A1.
Calafia. There are many of these on early European heraldry. It wasn't until the transatlantic slave trade that these images were sought out and suppressed.
Valvoline Full Synthetic Extended Protection. 10 times stronger against oil breakdown.
Got ants? Don't call any pro. Call the Orkin Pro.
Man, they always trying to give you this some weak ass commercial, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. We got 279 in the building, man. Let's try to get 350 people in here, man. In order to do that, man, I'm gonna need each and every one of you guys to share the live stream at least once, man. Share it on whatever social media site of your choice, man. Share the live stream at least one time. Let's try to get 350 people in here. Shout out to all the American Aborigines, man, for waking it up, man. Waking it up, your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, man. We cracking the code, man. You know what I'm saying? We cracking the code. Let's go.
Reminds me of Calafia. There are many of these on early European heraldry. It wasn't until the transatlantic slave trade that these images were sought out and suppressed. So, for now, that'll be our short intro into the alternative view on Black history. But we will continue as we move into the Civil War. Some other weird Charleston stories include some intense female figures like Anne Bonny and Lavina Fisher. Anne Bonny was this pirate from Ireland who I guess was like a rebel and got tired of her father's plantation, so she became a pirate. And legend has it that she burned the entire plantation to the ground. So I don't really know if I buy all that because women back then were subservient to men. Now, sure, maybe this is a similar thing where they're portraying women as the perpetual victim, but secretly behind the scenes there were elite women's circles operating. Either way, it's a similar phenomena. But yeah, we have the story of Judge Trot, which this was told in detail on a tour, but the guide said that Judge Trot was the first judge of Charleston, and he was this mean old guy who also was behind the Steed Bonnet trials, but essentially, what would happen in early Charleston is that men would be walking with their wives, and if they even looked at another man, the husband could go to the judge and literally say, "Hey, I think my wife was cheating just because she looked at another guy." And then Judge Trot would find this to be plenty of evidence, right? So he would convict her and then sentence her to public humiliation. And also, they would be branded. So the tour guide said that most women of Charleston who were branded ended up dead. But yeah, they would come and take your wife, put her in a cage, or even in one of those pillory things. People just accept this. Like, this was the best we could think of, is to just throw people on the streets and treat it like a show. So people would point their finger and say, ha ha, look at the guy, or, I mean, in this case, women. And they would treat them as if they weren't even human, right? That's the whole point, to make it humiliating, to throw rotten tomatoes. But dude, it was even worse than that. They were throwing mud, offal, which is basically organ meats, dead animals, and excrement. This is the sign of a culture with low awareness, which is apparent in the drunks and all these councilmen participating in mass amounts of prostitution. Not only that, in the early days, we're talking about same-sex rituals. This was obviously lost in future lodges, but in the early days, this is the stuff they would do. Because remember, they weren't judged on their works, but their faith alone. Right. If they were to do one of these public humiliation rituals in the modern day, people would be shocked in horror. We humans are sympathetic by nature. It's only by corruption of the few that we have arrived to where we are. But the only way this could have been acceptable is if we were truly in a dark age. And if that is the case, we deserve to question what's going on with the mainstream narrative. Who were these people? And were they truly the ones who built Charleston? Or, as the experts say, a medieval fortified city? So, another weird story is that they say that the slave market, which never really sold slaves, but that the slaves would go there, sell food, and make money, yet they say that the slaves were illiterate. So, wait, who are they selling for? Their masters?
Hey, P.
That doesn't really make sense. But forgetting about all that, this place has these death skulls on top, which they say is because it used to be a butcher shop. But I like to be questionable about everything. They say that in order to keep the city clean,
Hey, look, check it out, right?
Uh-huh.
To even go with the Sephora Jews and all that shit, right? A lady, I was watching the video one day, and this dude, he be questioning a lot of shit, right? So he had this lady on here, right? And she was giving the history of Jekyll Island. And she said that in Jekyll Island, that they built them buildings over Canaanite. She said the typical so-called Indians practice Canaanite rituals or whatever, and they built a lot of them structures over top of Canaanite buildings and everything. And I found that to be real funny that she even connected the Timical all the way to South Carolina, when they tell you a lot of times that the U.S.A. went into Florida and joined with the Seminoles, but the Seminoles are the Timicals. But people just saying, you know what I'm saying? They're not using
the other documentation. It'll start telling you that you'll read that the Chemical, the Uchi, the so-called Yamasi, and the residents of Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee is remnants of what we call the She, the Key people, or the Olmec, better known in history.
Exactly. So even when they get, a lot of people will tell you that Angola is in Florida, right? But remember, Florida went all the way to Louisiana. So I found the Angola also in Louisiana.
As a matter of fact, Louisiana was once called West Florida.
I mean, all of that shit was called Florida, or land of flowers, right? But however you look at it, right? However you look at all of this history, right? I found that to be very funny that one lady said that they found Canaanite rituals that was being done on Jekyll Island in South Carolina. And so you see how that works, right? Though a lot of people say that the Moors are Canaanite, but then they telling you, it even take you back to that figure that they found in Florida, and they called him a Moor. The image, and a lot of other people, they would sit there and question it. I'm not questioning none of that shit, though. I'm going for what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, I mute my mic with that, bro.
Nah, you going in, man. That's what we here for, man. That's what they here for. We here for the extra breakdown. Shout out to everybody, man. Let's continue this.
Mainstream narrative. Who were these people? And were they truly the ones who built Charleston? Or, as the experts say, a medieval fortified city? So, another weird story is that they say that the slave market, which never really sold slaves, but that the slaves would go there, sell food, and make money, yet they say that the slaves were illiterate. So, wait, who are they selling for? Their masters? That doesn't really make sense. But forgetting about all that, this place has these death skulls on top, which they say is because it used to be a butcher shop. But I like to be questionable about everything. They say that in order to keep the city clean, which remember, all these cities are suffering from diseases like syphilis, yellow fever, cholera, and they never really try to consider where this may be coming from, yet these streets are completely filled with fecal matter, and everyone is sticking their pokers in any hole they can find, but okay, we'll come back to that. So, they talk about how there were so many dead bodies, not just animals, like literally bodies of humans too, and these dead carcasses of rotten meat and leftover food was all over the streets. And they basically had these vultures that would come and eat all the food. And they tell this little quirky story like, oh, these vultures cleaned up the streets and they got so fat that they couldn't fly anymore. Isn't that neat? I'm just sitting there like, what is going on here? But yeah, that's another weird story they tell. Charleston also has a bunch of dungeons that the tour also covers, in which you explore essentially underground chambers where they kept prisoners. Now, what they don't cover is the engineering aspects of all of this, but we will come back to that soon towards the finale. Then we have a bunch of great cataclysms.
Yeah, the motherfucking the engineering is because it's ancient. These wasn't originally jails. This is some ancient structure that obviously got buried partially during some type of cataclysm that they dug up and reconverted into what we call a prison today.
So we got a lot of exciting things to talk about, such as great earthquakes, great fires, and more. But not even the local historians nor tour guides seem to be aware of some of these more rare events. One last thing I wanted to note before we move on is just the sheer lack of evidence for all these claims, including the Civil War battles. It's almost laughable that the museum put this up, a sketch of a Civil War drawing, and it was just so funny. But seriously, there really is no photographic evidence of the Civil War. We only have photos of portraits of men, groups, some pictures of the aftermath, but not the war itself.
Right. Why do you not got pictures of the war if it was happening all throughout the South? As far north as Virginia. You know what I'm saying? It took places in other places. Like you got this Civil War going on all over. And you got photos of these niggas sitting in chairs posing and shit. They ain't never bloody, scarred up. You don't never got no dead body pictures, nothing. This is fake, man. They was going to war on your structures. They was going to war on your structures, man. They was going to war on your structures, man. We don't even understand that these people was attacking our historical evidence of a prior civilization that thrived and ran America. They might call it ancient Atlantean. They might call it Tartarian. They might call it Amaru. They might call it, this and that, man. It's the science that's in place. We got to understand that, man.
Don't you think it would be insane to see a photo of 12,000 men lined up on a battlefield? Right? We have these really intense paintings, we have journals, we have historical details. It's not far out to say that all of that can be fabricated. Anything else? Doesn't really seem like this is enough to me, but yeah, prepare yourself because we're about to cover Fort Sumter in its entirety and analyze this whole Civil War story that we learned from the day we enter the education systems.
Numbers move you, but some can stop you in your tracks, like the tens of...
These niggas got more commercials than a little bit.
Okay, so we move on. Okay, so we move on to Fort Sumter, but we're still in the history portion of this presentation. A little bit later, we'll be speaking about our trip there and discussing some alternative theories as to the true purpose behind these structures. There's no way we can completely analyze every single story about
See,
this.
this the shit that I like right here because I was just in Clio, and Clio is less than 20 minutes from Sumter. Clio is an old black town, Clio, South Carolina, right as soon as you get in eastern South Carolina, right past Fort Jefferson, all that little military shit that they done took over them old forts down there. But it's still old structures in places like Clio and Sumter, which is where Sister Betty had her event at, right there. That's the same area. It was dope. We actually seen a concrete structure that was like, this shit looks questionable. And I'm looking, this shit go on forever and ever. And they designed and archways in it was crazy. Like, no cap.
Civil War in one video, but we can't cover it generally and in just the context of Fort Sumter. You see, the American Civil War is considered to be the most deadliest conflict the United States has ever had. They tell us more than 600,000 people lost their lives. This is more than all of the other wars the U.S. has fought combined from Revolutionary to Vietnam. Something that we have to consider is that when you grow up and you see the same presentations and movies in the mainstream, and yes, this includes the stories that are parroted by local historians, we become convinced as a nation of a reality that may have never truly happened the way it's been presented. All we know is the information that the compulsory school system gives us. There's an estimated 50,000 or more books on the subject of the Civil War, from novels to descriptions of all the battles, but we're going to try and simplify everything and just ask some very basic questions. So during this time in the early 19th century, the United States had the most slaves than any other nation. As Lincoln put it in 1854, quote, "The monstrous injustice of slavery deprives our Republican example of its just influence in the world, enables the enemies of free institutions with plausibility to taunt us as hypocrites," end quote. I'm not sure what he's talking about because the truth of the matter is that the Dutch and English have both used slaves for several hundreds of years. This whole concept of abolitionists, they came in and they continued this narrative, and it seems that the Union was much smaller than the Southern Republic, and they both seem to have this weird snake symbolism. This will be explored more too, but the mainstream narrative is that this is a symbol of secession and them being traitors. Well, then why did the South boast this symbol as well? The entire United States was founded on slavery, they tell us, from the cities to the plantations to almost the entire infrastructure. It wasn't just blacks, we're talking Native Americans, Asians, Irish. This involved every race. Yet out of nowhere, all of a sudden people started getting feelings and now they're wanting abolition, or was this another political movement altogether? The Constitution wouldn't have been ratified if it didn't approve of slavery, they said, so it was totally legal. They make it clear that the North thought slavery was wrong, but the explanation on how they got to the mindset is a little shady in its origin. First off, there was no Democrat versus Republican. In the eyes of the church, everyone in America were really liberals as we know now, Protestants, who deny the notion that you must do good works to get into heaven. So there's no reason morally, as slavery was the foundation for early Christianity. They use this as a reason for why America was founded on pure values, yet early Puritans were very rash in their punishments. They would burn
Now, allegedly in this photos, there's two Negroes here. There's one right here, and then there's another Negro. I forget where they said it was, but I know one right here for sure. And they claim that this brother right here is Benjamin Banneker. They claim that this is Benjamin Banneker sitting at this political seat right here. So if you ever did your research, go look at the $2 bill. There's just some extra drop.
Early Puritans were very rash in their punishments. They would burn humans at the stakes.
My bad. You right. John Hanson. That's who it was. John Hanson. Excuse me. Shout out to Krista Jamie Mack, man. Shout out to Krista Jamie Mack, man. John Hanson. So yeah, that's who that's supposed to be, man. So go look up photos of John Hanson. You'll see a black guy with the white hair, and this is look like a dark-skinned black guy with white hair, man. You know what I'm saying? Check that out.
Americans were very rash in their punishments.
They would burn humans at the stake simply for being accused of a crime. Is this any worse than the Catholics? Let's consider who we're dealing with. The European nations, which mainstream story is that Spain, England, and the Dutch, which as we explained are Germanic-speaking languages, they all have family crests showing who they are in allegiance to. Why are we supposed to believe that there was any fighting between these families? Sure, migrants moved in, and they say natives were there to fight back as well. But then they will contradict themselves, as we will soon see, because these natives just give them land. So then they decide to fight with them for supposed freedom. And it wasn't just a Revolutionary War with the Black Loyalists. The Native Americans and Black slaves were all forced to be in the Civil War. We'll explain that shortly. These are the stats. They say that the Union had 22 million people, but they don't tell us how many slaves. I'm going to assume 0 because they didn't mention it. Then, at the Confederacy, they had 9 million people and 3.5 million slaves. Wait, didn't you say at the beginning that there were 3 times the amount of blacks as whites? What happened with the population count?
Right. That made no sense. They'll go to switcheroonie right there. What?
At the Confederacy, they had 9 million people and 3.5 million slaves. Wait, didn't you say at the beginning that there were 3 times the amount of blacks as whites? What happened with the population count? Contradictions are endless. Like how photography was really started in the early 1840s, and by the 1850s, they were masters of photographic compositing, which involved the combination of multiple negatives. It was possible to combine over 20 different photographs during this time period. Yet, get this, we have no photos of the Civil War. We have portraits, we have the officials, political leaders, the supposed Confederates, and all these frat club boys hanging out together, nice clean uniforms. We see pictures of destruction and some sort of aftermath, but we don't see photographs of the actual war. Why not?
Right.
By 1861, when the Civil War really started, photography had been in the public sphere for over a decade. In fact, daguerreotypes
was a camera invented by the French.
And mind you, these niggas was doing ancient Photoshop. You understand me? These niggas, they would take photo compositories and then layer them, then snap them, catching this steel frame compository into one frame, often making people inside of the photo that was never there for the photo. Ancient Photoshop, man. These people are wicked.
They tell us in 1839. This in mainstream history, and when the Civil War really started, photography had been in the public sphere for over a decade. In fact, daguerreotypes was a camera invented by the French. They tell us in 1839. This in mainstream history, and I'm kind of honestly tired of hearing the same point. Well, oh, they had exposure issues. Not really, and they weren't strapping people to chairs to take these portraits. That's just another quirky little story they tell us. Now, every one of these photos were also touched up, as this was a career back then. You were a professional photoshopper, and you would add contrast and sharpness to the image. There's no way you could do that with a long exposure image. It would be way too blurry, and they did have what were called camera guns, or little revolver type cameras that would actually shoot footage at 12 frames per second. So,
nigga, they had photo guns. Nigga, they had photo guns. That bitch gonna aim and photo shoot. Shoot your photo, nigga. Hey, they just now started adding that on cell phones. Nigga, the rapid pictures that take the pictures real fast. They had that shit in 1840 something, nigga. That's wild.
Yeah, they at least had the ability to do stop motion. So, why didn't they use this technology during this time? Too busy fighting over slavery, huh? Essentially, what we're told is that right around the 1800 period, or really 1812, which we'll come back to in the cataclysm part, but this is when the North started caring and there was this division between slave and free state, problem, reaction, solution. This polarity will be consistent throughout our analysis of history. This gets into the fugitive slave states and the Underground Railroad video, which we've made a video going into detail on that subject, but they say this is a symbol for the movement of these runaways into these different routes and hideouts on their journey to free states. So again, we have novels and propaganda, these stories being told here, and anytime you hear something that's being parroted, but there really isn't that much evidence for it, you just gotta start asking questions. Not only are there no slave ships still in existence, but the only ones that are were remodeled and redesigned, and its legitimacy is questionable. But furthermore, the physical and literal nature of the Underground Railroad deserves some critical thought because it is said that there were literal underground railroads in which these early colonists would use for travel. The remnants of these have now been converted into sewer systems in modern cities, which, interestingly, it's illegal to go in without written permission from the city.
At Citadel Credit Union, building strength together means helping our members put their dreams within reach.
Now, what's funny about that whole thing that he just said that ancient subway systems, right, was covered up using river and dam systems. They want to cover up the evidence, man. They want to cover up the evidence. We've been proved that a lot of these ancient structures got ancient railroads right up under them. Ancient tunnelways with archways with magnificent brickworking and ornamentation design just for railroads. These are ancient city street carts. This is just they buried and built on top of the ancient civilization, and some of the structures they destroyed and reconverted. We giving y'all the drop.
It is said that there were literal underground railroads in which these early colonists would use for travel. The remnants of these have now been converted into sewer systems in modern cities, which, interestingly, it's illegal to go in without written permission from the city. Also, blacks owned blacks during this time, another convenient history they seem to avoid. The Sephardic Jews and the Arabic Moorish Empire were not only working for the Spanish, but the Moors were in Spain for the past 300 years until all of a sudden in the 1500s, Rome decided to split up the entire world so where Spain would conquer the New World and Portugal would go to Africa. I find this interesting because in 1621, a black man by the name of Anthony Johnson was the first true real slave owner. We also need to distinguish between an indentured servant and a slave, which they were merged to mean the same thing in the modern day. But they're not the same thing. These were loyal workers that would essentially be your servant, kind of like valet or a butler for wealthy individuals. They didn't hate their job and they actually did it with passion because they were treated with respect and paid very well. I'm just saying that would make more sense on why we see very few revolts in this time period, but we really have to change our perspective on slavery from being forced to actually being mutually agreed upon. Now that may be shocking, but I'm not saying that. I'm just reading the history.
So listen, man. Hey, when we were just talking about this earlier, talking about this slave story, and like how we don't really believe it, but I believe that the meaning of slave was differently in use, and we about to get into that right now. Let's go, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Thumb up the video, support the channel. You already know what's cracking, man. Let's get it.
On slavery from being forced to actually being mutually agreed upon. Now that may be shocking.
Listen, I need everybody to hit the like button too, man. Thumb up the video, support the channel, man. If y'all enjoying the live stream, hit the like button, support the channel, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. I see Big Dog Philly OG, Music Therapy, El Bora. You know what I mean? We got the gang in here, man. We see everybody. It's a Monster X. Rob McCoy, everybody, man. It's lit in here. Shout out to everybody in the building. Krista Jamie Mack, hey, you dropping some heat in there, man. Yeah, I tell y'all all the time, y'all some of the smartest motherfuckers in the world. I don't know shit about photography, but you talking about 12 frames per second, you know what I mean? Plasma 60. Hey, you going into the science, man. Shout out to you for bringing that extra heat. We need that. You know what I mean? It's what we're here for.
To actually be
Support the channel too, man. Cash App and PayPal information at the bottom of the screen, man. Support the channel.
We really have to change our perspective on
slavery from being forced to actually being mutually agreed upon. Now, that may be shocking, but I'm not saying that. I'm just reading the history books and asking questions. Anthony Johnson himself was an indentured servant for these black royal Arabs, and
they say he was a slave, but look, then
Anthony Johnson was an Angola held indentured service by the merchants of the colony of Virginia in 1620, but after freed to become a successful tobacco farmer and a property owner. Notably, he was the first to hold a black African servant as a slave in mainland American colonies. Upon his death in 1670s, a court ruled that he was a Negro and by subsequence an alien. And only colony seized and the colony seized his land. What? This
Hold on,
sounds
hold that thought.
like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Whoa.
Hey, look, hold, come on, sis. Hold that thought real quick. All right, so now he just hit on Anthony Johnson, right? Now listen, now how can Anthony Johnson be a slave for anyone and then go on to own slaves? Like I said, you just gotta go back to the original narrative on what they told us happened here, bro. And if everything that doesn't make sense, don't try to make an excuse of like, oh well, oh they was doing this, this is the reason. No, motherfucker. They lied about everything and they're going and every time you got a question, they're giving you an answer to basically make you, you know what I'm saying, like to make you be quiet, stop asking questions, man. How these people giving us answers to everything, and they don't even know what the hell going on. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Johnson, he was one of the so-called 1920 slaves that came here. Then he went on to own slaves. Listen, I was born on a day. I just wasn't born yesterday. So there's no way you passing that shit by me, man. I'll be my mic, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it don't make sense. How the fuck they seize this nigga land?
Arabs.
First they let them hold slaves for damn near all this time, and then all of a sudden they seize this nigga land because they figure out he was a Negro.
And they say he was a slave, but
look, then they say he completed his contract. So wait, was he a slave or was it a contract? Remember,
because they're telling us that slaves.
That's true too. That's true too. How the fuck they call him a slave, then let him go after his contract was done? So was this slavery thing a contract?
Nah, don't even fall for that, AP.
Remember, because they're telling us slave, but
don't listen, AP.
Then they say he completed his contract.
Don't fall for that. It's slave. Remember, they're trying to hide on who was the original slave. They don't want you to find out that the word
said that the Andrew Johnson guy was a slave under a black slave owner as well. Let's run it back.
Yeah.
That's not making sense. Let's run that back just a little bit so we can listen to it, man. That's crazy. It's contradictory.
Sense on why we see very few revolts in this time period, but we really have to change our perspective on slavery from being forced to actually being mutually agreed upon. Now that may be shocking, but I'm not saying that. I'm just reading the history books and asking questions. Anthony Johnson himself was an indentured servant for these black royal Arabs, and they say he was a slave.
They pretty much saying that he was a slave up
What's
under
up, sis?
Indentured servant for these black royal Arabs, and they say he was a slave.
Black royal Arabs. And they just said that these black Arabic Moors, right, better known as Sephardic Jews or Huguenots, right? But there's no real extent of history of the Sephardic Jews or Huguenots. But what we do have is a occurring establishment of American government established in places like Sierra Leone, right? That was a place that was mentioned. That was a place that Americans from America went and colonized. Is it possible that Sierra Leone used a template that ancient French used, which was taking people or asking people from America on contracts to come establish their government, and then as they return back to America, they get classified as Sephardic Jews or Huguenots, when in reality these people are just returnees back to the original civilization, only to come and find that this government is establishing war on the ancient civilization.
Indentured servant for these black royal Arabs, and they say he was a slave, but look, then they say he completed his contract. So wait, was he a slave or was it a contract? Remember, because they're telling us that slaves were treated as subhuman, like they were animals, or remember the whole New York Zoo stuff? So victims use this point a lot, but this is a setup. They did this on purpose to suppress Moorish history. I mean, who set up this show? You trust them? So, if they were nothing but slaves with tags and essentially were branded and, they were brought in these slave ships and just humiliated, then how did this guy fulfill his contract, get free, and become a wealthy land and slave owner in the 1640s? That's over 200 years before the Civil War. He owned over 250 acres of land and owned multiple black slaves, one who was named John Casser because in a court order of 1655, they decided that Johnson could hold Casson as much as he likes. So now, there were actually legal sanctions in place so that blacks could hold slaves of their own race. He was literally the first slave owner in America. This was 15 years before it was written into law, so that not only whites could own slaves, but blacks and Indians could own slaves as well. So wait, hold up. Why are we not taught about that when we go to these slavery museums? All I see is a misrepresentation. Lies by omission. Another clue that both the Union and Confederacy were both just different boy clubs is we never discussed what's going on with the Masons during all this time.
So, is this runway casting for a grumpy brand or a smarty brand?
Hell, boy. Commercials be hell. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. If y'all can hear everything loud and clear, can we get y'all to drop a fire emoji? Can we get y'all to drop a fire emoji in the chat? Drop a fire emoji in the chat, man. Support the channel, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to all the American Aborigines. Let's continue the live stream, man. Let's continue the live stream.
That both the Union and Confederacy were both just different boy clubs is we never discussed what's going on with the Masons during all this time. They had multiple lodges all over America. What was their position? Oh, let me guess. They took the exact same position as the Rosicrucians during the Reformation era? So, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up early, but one of the main symbols for South Carolina is the palmetto tree on the flag. But notice how there's a crescent. Now, I swear, when I first saw this, and I'm not really from South Carolina, but when I first came in and saw the flag, I immediately thought it looked Arabic in origin. And I've also seen it with the star as well, but we're going to truly question the meaning behind this flag, and towards the end, I'll give you the final key, but let's just say that this has to do with William Moultrie, which is a French in origin name. I'm suspicious of his origins, but the first flag did not have a palmetto. It was simply a blue flag with a crescent that said Liberty. Then, the palmetto was added after 1861. There's no explanation on the reason for the crescent. Obviously, palmettos are not only in South Carolina, but only South Carolina is the palmetto state.
Hold on, what is this? Is this letting it know that it has this Moorish connection to it? Is this the symbol that they trying to hide in? I don't know. I'm just asking questions, man. That's what we here for. Shout out to the American Aborigines, man. Shout out to Michael Lewis. Shout out to my brother Michael Lewis for sending in a PayPal donation. Shout out to Michael Lewis on sending in a PayPal donation. Make sure y'all support the channel. Cash
Hey,
out.
Pete.
Now information is at the bottom of the screen. What's going on, everyone?
Okay, all right. So what he's telling you, because it's star and crescent, and they got a crescent, the same crescent they got on a Louisiana police department car. But they trying to say, oh, these people came from they came over here from somewhere else. Like, nah, that star and crescent has a connection to us. But like I said, because we done been fooled with this Native American history, we can't even understand stuff that's ours. We giving other people credit. Oh, the Europeans, the black Europeans came over here and did that. So that shit is all a fucking lie, my dude. Everything is a lie. And like I said, most Aborigines, they don't know how to connect that to. They sit there and they look at the Moors, the enemy, and all that. That's the thing that's been going on in this so-called community for a long time. And a lot of people don't understand. And my grandmother ain't tell me I was a Moor. Well, guess what? You don't have to. You hear what he's saying. He's saying, why is they hiding this history? Now you gotta ask yourself that question. And I tell people, two of the things that these people don't like to hear, if you say you're an Aboriginal to America and they don't like to hear nothing about the Moors. You mentioned the Moors to one of the Europeans, that's like holding the cross up to Dracula. Excuse me. That's like holding the cross up to Dracula, money drip. You know what I'm saying?
It's a fact, man. And I don't want to hear it. They get their little soul to hear shit.
Be safe, sir.
Shout out to everyone. Let's continue, man. Let's continue. Shout out to my brother. Yeah.
So not only in South Carolina, but only South Carolina is the palmetto state. Well, let's see what you think towards the end of the video. So, we have to talk about this whole secession and the snake symbolism because it's really weird that you also see this in the early flags of the South. They have the palmetto with a snake going around it, and the answer seems to be that the Union wanted to literally strangle the South by blocking the southern seaports and preventing the export of tobacco and cotton, and they would block the import of arms. Then we hear of the popular newspaper cartoon Scott's Great Snake, or the Anaconda Plan. It shows this great snake that throttles its victims, but why is the South taking on this symbol for themselves and also making it quite biblical in nature? Just a sneak peek for later, but this literally says built from the ruins. So the definition of slave is the ownership of another human being by another. They say slaves usually worked without pay, but hold up, you're saying there are situations where the slaves were paid. Also, they claim that slavery was actually better than the conditions that blacks had on their own in the factories up north because slavery down south made them more civilized. We see the runaway rewards and Uncle Tom's Cabin, even all the punishment devices, yet wait, why aren't we learning about the Sephardic Jews and how Moors owned all of Europe for over 300 years? That's conveniently left out of Black History Month.
Yep, they do that for a reason. Once you start understanding, hold on, who are these Moors? And where was the white people at? And there was the white people there that allowed these black people just to rule it for 300 years, only to come take it back? No. You start challenging the history that niggas ruled everything, even America.
You know what's funny about all this? Is that Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederacy, and Abraham Lincoln, who was the president of the Union, they look literally exactly the same. It's just that Jefferson decided to shave before getting his picture taken. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. I was at the museum and thought this, and after doing research, I found out many other people thought the exact same thought. Coming to find out they're brothers? But wait, they're not brothers? Or there's like a debate about whether they're related or not. No one seems to really know the answer, but it's very interesting that many people seem to see the similarity. To me, I think these brothers are mocking us. I'll explain more shortly, but these crests and symbols that they give us are the only clues that we have that they're communicating with each other.
People always ask me. First thing they ask me. That's some bullshit. Nobody want to know what they ask you, nigga. We ain't better shot with that shit.
I'll explain more shortly, but these crests and symbols that they give us are the only clues that we have that they're communicating with each other. Also, another thing they say is that people back then were super short, but these brothers were over 6 feet tall. I'll mention this later when we get to the tour part, but they say that they were both unusually tall for their time period. What are the chances that two unrelated, abnormally tall men who look nearly identical are the spearheads of this massive war scenario? What I'm getting to with all this is symbolism. They were brothers. This is not the only reference to a brothers' war, as there was a Civil War battle known as the Brothers' War, which was between Union General Philip St. George Cooke and the Confederate Cavalry General James L.L. Brown Stewart. The historians are saying that this is an example on how, at the Tennessee and Kentucky border, the war was separating families and they would literally kill each other over this polarized issue. But we have to see the hidden symbolism here. It's called the Brothers' War, which could be interpreted as Freemasonic brothers, not literal brothers, but brothers in purpose and end goal. We can only find this out by looking at their symbolism, not by regurgitating the thoughts they want us to think when it comes to the presented history given in all these mainstream books and institutions. Basically, because Kentucky stayed neutral, they say that many families became divided on this political issue. They have this whole back and forth where Confederates would say that Lincoln and the Union were evil, and vice versa. It's the exact same stuff that's going on today. So you really can't talk about Charleston's history or South Carolina history without really bringing up the Civil War and, of course, Fort Sumter, which I got some questions to ask later because they said that they had multiple forts in one, and they even called one a castle. Fort Sumter is where the first shots of the Civil War happened, as this was so famously mentioned in the Charleston Mercury. Quote, "Border Southern states will never join us until we have indicated our power to free ourselves. The fate of the Southern Confederacy hangs by the ensign halyards of Fort Sumter." End quote. And if you just think about it, why does the Union want to do this when the truth is, according to what they tell us, all of America was founded on slavery? Literally, the whole economy functioned on this aspect, and even the factories up north were abusing this issue. The Industrial Revolution, all these kids working in factories. I mean, come on. None of these people really had an option to begin with. It was either join the Union or die, right? Or they're going to try to make it seem as if the Union were the good guys in this story, but we must always question the heroes when being presented with the official history. So, as soon as South Carolina seceded from the Union, Governor Pickens ordered that all federal property be given up so that the Southern Republic would now have ownership. Abraham Lincoln wrote in that supplies were being sent to Fort Pickens, and as it didn't have any arms on it, that they should just let it come in. But they didn't want Fort Pickens to be supplied, so Jefferson Davis, the president.
Now, who built Fort Pickens? We got to ask that question. How the fuck is in the 1800s you got concrete structures being built like this in open water areas during the time that Motherfucking your presidents, your high politicians, your great forefathers been born in goddamn log cabins and stick houses and shit. Make that shit make sense to me. Make that shit make sense to me. Fort Pickens, they claim that they don't fabricated some weak story for it.
Now have ownership. Abraham Lincoln wrote in that supplies were being sent to Fort Pickens, and as it didn't have any arms on it, that they should just let it come in. But they didn't want Fort Pickens to be supplied, so Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, decided to see this as a challenge. Seems like some weird brotherhood drama. But anyways, he decided that it was crucial that they take over Fort Pickens before it was supplied by this shipment. Then, the Confederate general, Pierre Beauregard, ordered his cannons to open fire on Fort Sumter on April 12, 1861 at 4:30 in the morning. Supposedly, they literally did this non-stop for 2 days straight. So imagine what it once looked like. But eventually, Major Robert Anderson, the Union commander of Fort Sumter, was short on supplies, of course, because they rushed in, and so they had to give up the fort. News didn't reach North until 2 days later, they say, and when Lincoln found out, he was pissed, and so he began to gather, quote, volunteers for taking back the fort of the Union. This is going to become very questionable because the truth is, slaves were fighting for both sides. You had blacks fighting for the Union under the propaganda of being freed, yet many were killed in the process. And then you had the same thing with Native Americans. All of these people were being forced into a war regardless of what side you picked. If you didn't, then you would be seen as a traitor, as it was just said that it was impossible to be neutral during this time, as the case with Kentucky. We'll come back to that, but interestingly, Major Anderson, the Union soldier at the fort during this time, was from Kentucky and a slave owner himself too, so...
Advil Dual Act. Be doing the most with these commercials, man. Shout out to all the American Aborigines in the building, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button, thumb up the video, support the channel, man. Support the channel, man. It's very important for you guys to thumb up the video and support the channel.
Major Anderson, the Union soldier at the fort during this time, was from Kentucky and a slave owner himself too, so... Over 4,000 cannon shells are to have been exchanged at Fort Sumter. During this time, each state had their own militia, as it was enacted in law with the Militia Act of 1795. So after Lincoln called for help, more states started to secede, so this was a pretty big deal. I mean, the Southern Republic was huge. Even Virginia joined the South. In Richmond, Virginia, a huge crowd marched into the state capitol building, lowering the American flag, and ran the new Confederate banner. They were all so excited, a bunch of college kids thinking that this was like a prank or something. And so an 18-year-old student from the University of Virginia in Charlottesville wrote, "The news of the secession has reached here about 10 o'clock amid shouts. War, war, war." Seems like propaganda if you ask me. This goes into more specifics of the Civil War, but I think we brought up enough to be curious about the alternative, which we'll cover later as we visit the fort and talk about all these cannons. If you were to ask me, the entire narrative of slavery becomes questionable as soon as they hide all other history of Moorish cultures. You see, we know of many stories, such as we've all heard of the 3 wise kings, and we all know that one of them is black. Yet, we do not learn about any of these black immigrants or advanced black nobles who once were in control of the ancient and old world. They seem to conveniently skip over this in order to portray this narrative of slavery that is still being used today with modern politics. St. Maurice is not a caricature, but a depiction of a noble knight from Germany, and this connects with the royal Moorish families of Germany as well. You see that they all have coat of arms, many of which to depict savages, but what if this is but a symbol to depict their plans and overarching goal with achieving their aim? You see, if you had a coat of arms, you were worthy. If you did not, you essentially did not have a soul or ID. You were not a part of the royal arms. These symbols are on the crest to refer to each family's duty and function. The Moors served the purpose of fulfilling out certain narratives across the populace as indicated by the coat of arms. Remember, this is a coat or banner, a symbol of arms. What are arms? Weapons, assets of a military, used in warfare, whether spiritual or physical. In Benjamin Franklin's Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind from 1755, we get some interesting stuff being said. So listen to this. Quote, and since detachments of English from Britain sent to America will have their place at home so soon supplied and increased so largely here, why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens?
Right. I'm going to end it right there. We're going to do a part 3 to this tomorrow, man, because that's a good question, because you got Philadelphia being established by the English. You got William Penn coming in. You got King Charles II, better known as King of Prussia, coming in, settling. And you got other various peoples. And you got the King Tammany of the Lenape and the western borders, or what we call the She people, right? Who established government here, right? Who set up the Saints of Tammany. We talking about King Tammany. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get into that tomorrow, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the live stream, man. I hope everybody's enjoying the live stream, man. We're gonna break it down some more. We just gonna chop it up for a little bit. We got A1 was in here. He just dropped out. Hopefully we get him back in here. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. It's your brother Aboriginal Power. Hopefully everybody hit the like button. Thumb up the video. Support the channel, man. It's very important for you guys to hit that like button and to thumb up the video. Let me see. We can get some questions from the chat in here. We can get some questions from the chat in here. Let me copy the link. Drop that in there. Boom. What you got going? I just dropped the link in the chat, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. We're not going nowhere. I'm gonna give y'all. I'm gonna play a quick 60-second clip, man, and I'm gonna need y'all to hit the like button, man, to give y'all enough time to go use the bathroom, get something to drink. Hit the like button. If you ain't supported the channel, give y'all enough time to do that. We'll be right back in just a second. Don't go nowhere. We're not ending the live stream. Don't go nowhere. I just dropped the link in the chat. Make sure y'all hit that link. I'm going to play this little clip. Quick. You know what I mean? We'll be right back.
Suave on the track. Whatever it takes. The alleyway.
Coco, this your season right now.
They won't see me. They won't let me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I put attention, all in my blood, all in my veins. They started with perky, now that hair by numbers veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they taught me the game. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah.
Lost see, I glossed to it, shit ain't been the same. Heard the ops talking to the feds, giving names. Who gon' feed my family if they take me out the game? Keep one in the head and one eye open, that ain't change. I'm quick to catch a body. When I shoot, he shoot, I know bro shooting right beside beside me. Them hollow tips go through the wall and then they hit his body.
Yo, we back. Did y'all get to use the restroom? Y'all got y'all something to drink? Y'all ready? Ain't nobody hit that link though. Ain't nobody hit the link. So listen, man, let's get back into the conversation, man. This whole Charleston, South Carolina, the whole South Carolina, when we get into the history of it and get into what's really going on, there's really some questionable narratives that's been pushed. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we really can't get past the fact that there's so much shit that they're hiding. They're hiding a lot of our evidence and our history, man. And I'm going to prove that we took this show on the road. That these are the people. Oh, man, I'm not even going to say it right now. Not even going to say it right now. Man, what did about? Hold on, let me see. The link is in the chat. Can y'all see the link? Bow, did you see that picture on IG? Garvey chilling with Walter Plecker, shaking my head. Photo ops. Yeah, them niggas was working together. Mr. Sig, type in Hellyway, man. The link to the videos in the description box. Man, if y'all haven't purchased American Gods pay-per-view, well, I got y'all attentions. If y'all have not purchased American Gods pay-per-view, make sure y'all go purchase that pay-per-view, man. It was a dope pay-per-view. Extremely informative information. Shit you probably never seen before in your life. You know, understand me? It was a fire pay-per-view. The American Gods pay-per-view is a classic. It's going to be one of many. So if you have not purchased that, make sure you go down in the description box and purchase the American Gods pay-per-view. Shout out to my brother Supreme Chief Holiday, man. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, peace, brother. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, brother. Good grand rising. Happy wake and bake. What you got going on?
Shit, man. Just same thing. Getting everything together.
That's a fact.
We stay working over here. I want to say peace to all American Aborigines. Shout out to Big Aboriginal Power, man, for doing this work every day. I did want to talk about some of the things that dude was talking about in this trailer. I mean, this video, right? Now, here's the thing. We talk about social constructs, right? And I think it's interesting that people who are exposing stuff use the social constructs that they expose. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when he was talking about the revolutionary time, and he's talking about Native Americans, for instance, right? Now, that's a narrative, as we know, that Native Americans and African Americans did not exist. So when you're seeing that narrative push, you're seeing a modern narrative, late 20th century, 21st century narrative that is being pushed in that time period. That's a part of their empowerment. They're writing their power in time. They're time traveling on us. And what does this make sense? People say, you guys, we're talking in colloquial terms and you're talking stupid. We talk about etymology fallacies when we're talking about historical time periods. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense because then now you're using modern time periods as if the people were talking in modern time in those terms. So when this guy is speaking, he's still, I keep saying this every time. I don't give a fuck who it is. And that's why, shout out to you for doing these videos and breaking it down and checking the checkers. See what I'm saying? Checking the researchers. And once again, as you know, everybody, even these pale skins, are getting the information. No matter where they're getting it from, they're getting it. I don't give a fuck if they're getting it from Danielson, Curie Mayo, whoever. It still has a source. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, you guys. So we just got to call it what it is. And yes, people do pull up their narratives, you know, whether they're Hebrews, whether they're Moors, whether these different things. Oh, and I just want to, once again, when you say Moor, it's a little nappy Moor, it's this type of Moor. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? These are descriptive terms. Just like you could just say Indian. These are interchangeable. Negro. These are interchangeable. Sarian. These are interchangeable depending on who's making the descriptive terminology, who's writing it down, what time period they wrote it down, whether it was Plecker or them had touched them. And y'all understand what the fuck is going on. So please stop being so fucking slow at this point. It's too, yeah, AP. It's too much goddamn technology in your hand, all these books, fucking PDFs, which I feel is confusing people. Because people read stuff and they're under a word spell. So your a spell has been cast on you. Okay? So just know that if somebody's trying to fool you, somebody's trying to dupe you, somebody's trying to enslave your mind. And that's what all this enslavement talk is talking about. Once again, I've been saying this for years, that slavery's fake. As it pertains to the American Negro, I will murder anybody. And I think I'm still the only person that teach that, even though people talk about it. But I you know what I'm saying? And never want to say, hey, well, somebody, where did they get that source of that information from? AP. So I just want that. I want to put that on the record. It is about to be mainstream real fast, you guys. Watch. All this is about to be mainstream. This awakening is about to be mainstream.
That's a fact.
And motherfuckers want to step in front of it and be like, this is the American Indian awakening. This is this Morris awakening. This is whatever. Nah, motherfucker. American Aboriginal awakening. That's what it is. So respect to the check-in. It's the GOAT.
We got to respect to the
I
check-in.
come in peace.
You already know, man.
Yeah. Hey, man, shout out to Hellyway, man, coming through, bro. That was a good look.
Shout out to Hellyway.
By the time he came through, man, you been bumping him. Shit. We know all his words to the songs. Shout out to Hellyway, man. Coming through supporting the people that support him, man. That's dope.
They shot the one video, man. I was supposed to be in it. I was out of town, but I'm definitely gonna make the next video. Shoot, man. You already know we in that thing.
You catch cut video?
No, I cut
CSG Pain. You ain't caught that yet?
Cut got a video?
Well, it's CSG Pain, but it's DJ Cut Tack is featured in it. You gotta see it.
Send it to me right now. I'll play it.
Hold on.
We'll definitely play that. Shout out to DJ Cuddy, man. Hey, shout out to the American Aborigines, man. Damn. Y'all know this the Wake and Bake Show. If y'all want to smoke on the best like I am, which is Asteroids, the link is in the description. Make sure y'all go shop with Asteroids. DM him using promotion code Aborigine. DM him using promotion code Aborigine. Shout out to Keith Lamont. What's going on, brother? I'm proud of you, brother, because you doing it with us. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. I'm proud of all y'all. Shout out to all the American Aborigines. If y'all wake up every day, if y'all feeling like I'm feeling, like, damn, it feel good to be Aborigine, drop a fire emoji in the chat. If you're enjoying the live stream, make sure you support the channel. Right. Support the channel. Cash App and PayPal information at the bottom of the screen, man. The real support the real. You know what I mean? Shout out to my brother Aboriginal TV. Shout out to A1. Shout out to Jaguar. Shout out to Supreme Chief. Shout out to Big Dog Philly OG. Shout out to everybody putting in this motherfucking work. Shout out to my boy Earl Wheeler. Let me see what he says. Shout out to Earl Wheeler. You just linked me with my crest for Wheeler. Shout out to Earl Willer. Let me read that again, man. My motherfucking vision a little fucked up. Little bitty ass right. I said Earl Willer sent the Cash App donation. Make sure y'all show some love in the chat, man. Show some extra love to my brother Earl Willer. He said, you just linked me with my crest for Willer. Damn, I didn't even know that, bro. I'm glad I was able to help the connection. You heard. You was already going to connect it. You feel what I'm saying? We just gathered that shit from the ethers. I'm just here as a vessel. The ancestors just whispering through me. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all because they doing the same thing through y'all, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure y'all support the channel. Make sure y'all support the channel. Make sure y'all support the channel, man. Get that American Guys pay-per-view, man. Don't force too late.
AP.
Yep.
I put the link. I couldn't put in a private chat. It wouldn't give me the option, but I put it in the chat room. And you could just go into the channel too, but that's in the chat room.
You could have sent it to my phone.
Oh, that's true. Let me text it real quick.
Yeah, nigga, send it to my motherfucking phone, nigga. We're going to go straight to it. Look at the chat, Chris. I posted. I'm about to look at it, big bro. Shout out to my nigga X8DEV Hefe, a.k.a. Hardline Boss, man. Make sure y'all go shop with asteroidco.com, man. Make sure y'all go shop with that. Make sure y'all go shop with that, man. Oh, damn. What crest is that? The Madrid? The Madrid crest? And it's a bear up under an apple tree? That's crazy. That's crazy. That might be one of my next logos for the thumbnail. I might have to do some further research for that. Shout out to my brother Hardline Boss for sending me that. Let's get into this video, man. Let's get right up in this thing, man. We ain't gonna hold you too longer. We're gonna get right into it. We ain't even gonna play around. Let's get into it. Shout out to DJ Cuddy, man. Putting in some work. DJ Cuddy, man, the best to do it if you ever knew it, man. Cut, you're killing them. Cut, you're killing them. Let me get this bar off the screen for a second. Let me put it on a wide, boy. Let go.
Man, put $1 on the game tonight, man.
Put that dollar you got right there. I got it.
It's fake.
It's fake.
Welcome to Cuddy's afternoon detention. Like I said before,
DJ Cuddy. Shout out to Cut. That nigga said DJ Cuddy detention. Look at that nigga. Yeah, shout out to my nigga Cut. Cut, you're killing them, nigga. Let's go.
It's fake.
It's fake.
welcome to Professor Cuddy's afternoon detention. Like I said before, I am the cool side of the pillow. We're gonna be able to rock to some of this good old what? Yeah, we're gonna get busy today. This is some good music, and it's gonna cool your savage soul. Yeah.
That nigga DJ Cuddy came in there with the Funkadelics. Nah, nigga, we ain't trying to listen to that in the detention. I'm in detention, Mr. Cuddy. No, we don't want to listen to that. No. Shout out to Cuddy. That's my nigga. I like the video.
Hey, he got the boom box with the goddamn vinyl though, bro. That's funny.
Hey. Next time they tell you to do it, you need to do it.
I ain't even do nothing.
Shut up. Shut up.
Oh my God, this stuff got my dripping my ear.
I don't care. I don't care. Get in
Hey, you. Hey, you sit your behind down.
and enjoy this good music. Hey, what you know about that?
Nobody wanna.
All right, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Thank you. I got a tape. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, I got Derek touching on it, man. I think I know how to use this same way.
Shout out to CSG Payne Central.
Me and my little nigga, we grew up in the mud. Age of 14, I was hustling. You ain't get no love if you wasn't the plug. And you can't leave the house without the stick if you was.
Welcome to the Central, let me show you around. Keep your head on a swivel, 10 toes to the ground. Eyes and ears open, you know the sounds.
Your girls click, clack it, laying you down.
Now when we in the Central, I'm gonna keep it a buck. See you lacking and they you up. Them little Fillmore new, not the new to trust. From lane to the beat, them little niggas a bust. My mama used to check if there's some guns in my waist. I'ma catch a body, I know niggas are snakes. Crosses on my face, pain, KB race. I miss my nigga Holly, hope he saved me some space. I miss my nigga Melly, got him locked in the cage. Crackers have a nigga like a mouse in a maze. Demons in my dreams, pain, KB race. I tried to live right, but they ain't always the case.
Me and my little nigga, we grew up in the mud. Age of 14, I was hustling. You ain't get no love if you wasn't the plug. And you can't leave the house without the stick if you was.
Welcome to the Central, let me show you around. Keep your head on a swivel, 10 toes to the ground. Eyes and ears open, you know the sounds.
Your girls click, clack it, laying you down.
I probably sold coke in every spot that they had. Sherry was my mama, but the block was my dad. I know them niggas, though, bitch, we was all that we had. Me and my AK look like I saw them in half. 8 baby mamas, I was holding a lot. Raising 3 kings, but I showed them a lot. Man, I love my daughters, but I owe them a lot. And then she called me nephew, probably sold her a rock. Welcome to the Central, shout out Swami and Moon. This is not a place where it was safe to assume. Unless in this assumption there's some guns in the room. All them little niggas got some mud on their shoes.
Me and my little nigga, we grew up in the mud. Age of 14, I was hustling. You ain't get no love if you wasn't the plug. And you can't leave the house without the stick if you was.
Welcome to the Central, let me show you around. Keep your head on a swivel, 10 toes to the ground. Eyes and ears open, you know the sounds.
Your girls click, clack it, laying you down.
Shout out to DJ Cuddy, man. DJ Cuddy going hard body with it, man. Shout out to DJ Cuddy.
Yes, sir.
Go hard, man. That nigga rap like Easy E, man. Easy E back, man. Is that new Easy?
That's right.
That is
right.
Right.
Nigga just CSG, man. He got that work. He got that work. Got that work.
Good. He sound good. Shout out to that young brother, man. Keep doing his thing. Keep shining, man. He's shining like a sun.
And he know who he is.
Yeah, that's
certified.
That's what I'm talking about. About that shit, man. Shout out to in building. Man, we about to get ready to get out of here, man. Peace and love to everybody. Don't forget to support the channel before y'all get out of here. Don't forget to support the channel before we get out of here, man. Shout out to all the American Aborigines. Y'all know it's nothing but love. Purchase that guy pay-per-view. Hit that like button. Support the channel. Drop your city, drop your state before you get out of here. This is the Waking Place, man. Y'all know we smoking that gas. Asteroids, man, the best brand, Aboriginal, hand-grown, package, whatever. Own brand, man. The good herbs, man. Go check out Asteroid Co. Asteroid
I'm
called.
trying to get me an asteroid deal over here. Shout out to Hefe, man. Yeah, I'm trying to get me a cut deal over here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
LeBron King, nigga. You hear me?
Yeah.
Mr. OG. Yeah, it's going down, man.
Get with Asteroids, man. Exclusive flavors you can only get with Asteroids. Shout out to Asteroid Code, man. I love it.
I think you got cut out, bro. You there? Nah, you got cut out. Hey, man, peace to everybody, man. I think we about to get up out of here. Peace to all American Aborigines, man. Hey, yeah, man, we gonna be going live in a minute, you guys, before we get ready to do the Mixcloud show today. So you guys tap in, man. Spring Chief Holiday Channel. DJ Cut Tack 1. Yeah, man. We'll see you guys over on Mixcloud this afternoon, man. It's going down, man. It's gonna be called Heavy Rotation, man. We're gonna mix a lot of joints you guys are hearing from the American Aborigines, and with a little bit more of the stuff that you guys are hearing on the radio, man. Just kind of put them up against each other, man. So, yeah, man. Shout out to DJ Cut. Yeah, you back. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't know what the fuck happened over here. This shit just start tweaking over here on my phone. On full on grade, this shit start tweaking. You understand? You don't know what's it be like that weak ass shit. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to all the American Aborigines, number love. Make sure y'all be safe. Make sure y'all be aware. Make sure y'all stay vigilant. It's your brother Aboriginal Power, and we out. Peace.
We're still here. I still have my practices. We know who we are. This is who we are. So you can call me colored, you can call me Negro, you can call me black.
Oh, man. Yeah, you gotta be kidding me.
What kind of Indian are you?
Like Tonto Indian?
Shinnecock Indian.
Really? You're Shinnecock?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know you were Shinnecock.
Could have fooled me.
That's the kind I am. Hey. So you should be Big Chief Bastard, not older.
His family was here when Columbus landed, huh?
Is that right?
Yes.
So you are not a black man, you're an Indian?
I'm an Indian.
No kidding. Now, this is a shock.
We are learning more to...
I don't need no gun to do my thing. Mao Zedong said that power grows out the barrel of a gun. He never said that power was a gun. That's why I don't need no gun to do my thing. What I need is some freedom. What I need is the power to determine my destiny.